Well, Kane, tit for tat.
Dude, I love Metal Gear Solid 4.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supertrope podcast. This is episode 10. Today we've got Kane here. We've also got Cody.
Hi there.
Cameron.
Hello.
And myself, Josh. I'm I guess wildly unpredictable. No Tommy still. I think this will probably be the last week though. He is like 79% good to go. So he wants to be 100% for the next episode.
He gave me a diet version of the plague. It's either him or the Black Friday customers, but one of those two. I'm gonna blame Tommy.
Yeah. Sure. But
we're
anyways,
immune systems.
Yeah, immune systems are pretty neat. Hello and welcome. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving or nice holiday season. How was everybody's holiday here that isn't Cody?
Not good.
Because I already know yours.
Yep. Just typical Thanksgiving. I have some regrets. I wish I would have both brought PlayStation VR over to the family like I heard that you guys did. And I also wish I would have brought Overcooked over. I think that would have been an equally good, hey, you haven't played very much video games, check this one out. Because I hear lots of Thanksgiving stories of people doing that, and Overcooked is easily one of my favorite multiplayer games this year. So it was a good chill Thanksgiving.
You already have enough kitchen stress for Thanksgiving. Here's a little more.
It's so fun.
How about you, Kane? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Me and my mom played WoW a lot. That was fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did they do any Thanksgiving stuff in WoW at all?
Yeah, they had like a pilgrims event or some bullshit. I don't know. It was super dumb. I didn't actually do it. I just ran Mythic Dungeons, baby.
Good do it.
Nice.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Just like the pilgrims did.
Yep, exactly. Getting attuned for Karazhan, just like my ancestors.
Awesome. Yeah, yep, we freaked out. Cody and I freaked out the family with some PlayStation VR. It was pretty wonderful.
Oh, I still need to upload all the pictures and video. I'm surprised that a lynch mob hasn't come to my door. I'm surprised of Mom and Elena. Just,
yeah.
Why isn't it on Facebook yet? I'm sorry. I'm very lazy.
Yeah. Pretty wonderful. All the, I kind of mentioned it in passing that like, oh yeah, I got the PlayStation VR and it's pretty cool. And like my mom, which like of all people would be the last person I would expect to actually like give a fuck about video games, was like, you should go and get that and bring it back. I'm like, oh, okay, I will.
Okay, Mom.
And yeah, it was wonderful. People are freaking out with sharks, and it's really cool. Like everyone's like who has a PlayStation or like has any kind of VR headset that's kind of showed it off to other family members. Has kind of had that moment of like, oh man, this is really cool that they're like really enjoying, this experience and all that stuff. And it's kind of like the first time with any kind of video games at all that I've actually like, my mom was really, really interested in. It was kind of a weird experience.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was neat. But yeah, and then Aaron, my mom's boyfriend, almost shit himself with a shark attack.
That was great. Oh my god.
Oh, it was so
swatting at
great.
it and
Just
like
screaming
ducking behind
all the
a
time.
chair.
Well, it's so funny because I think it's kind of like relative. Like VR is so like cool to us, but we're like kind of on the edge of technology a lot of the time. We're kind of aware of the stuff and what to expect slightly. Like it still is cool, but I think it's different for us compared to say our parents' generation or a little bit older. It's kind of like the first movie they ever showed or first moving picture they ever showed was a train coming out the screen, and everybody ducked and covered and jumped out of their seats thinking the train was going to hit them. I think just the older and further away you are from the technology, the more fascinating it is. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I think the Wii was the same way.
Yeah, it's pretty all right. Thanksgiving overall, but anyways, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and start in on games we've been playing during the holidays and whatnot. Yeah, Cameron, what you been occupying your time with?
I've been buying a bunch of stuff with the Black Friday sales and all that. I picked up a whole bunch of. Yeah, I picked up, I wouldn't say playing, but buying. No, I have been trying to dabble in a few of them, but I picked up a ton of indie games, especially. I did kind of some digging for some there always are some that slip under the radar each year, and I always like to do that at the end of the year to kind of look back for the ones I missed. And sure enough, I found a ton of awesome, just silly, crazy, weird games. Beyond that, though, as far as a AAA game, I have so much backed up: Dishonored 2, Titanfall 2, all these stuff just ready to go. But one that I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about that I'm just in love with right now is actually Planet Coaster, the new roller coaster tycoon-esque game. It's so good. I'm always been a sucker for these type of games in general: Sims, roller coaster tycoon, game dev story, you name it. And this one, it's nice because it's roller coaster tycoon in the sense, especially as far as the modern ideas like riding the coaster and all that stuff. It does that incredibly well. The way you always wanted it to work back when that was how they would always advertise those new features in those old games. But even beyond that, it is very Cities XL. It is super like polished, and how things work the way you would think. It doesn't give you a lot of tutorials, so you have to kind of figure out things as you go. But man, it's rewarding. Like I find myself like barely scraping by, and trying to up my marketing, or I have to fire somebody to make sure that I stay in the green and don't fall below. You take out loans, and then you take out another loan just to pay off your last loan. Like it has this whole like business simulation thing going on. I've been actually really enjoying. If you like those games in any way, shape, or form, definitely check out Planet Coaster. I've looked at a lot of games like Roller Coaster Tycoon since Tycoon, and kind of similar to Harvest Moon. Never really found one that kind of succeeded it yet. This year we had both Planet Tycoon and Stardew Valley, which is actually coming to Xbox One here in December. Beyond that, not really anything else. I am trudging through Pokemon, though I probably played less of it this week than I did in the first week, which wasn't very much. And yeah, still Black Friday and too busy.
With the Planet Coaster, have you checked out any of the Steam Workshop stuff yet?
Yeah, and that's really cool because I mean I've just kind of looked through it, and it's almost just like a catalog, because it's cool that way because you can kind of do custom putting pieces together. That gives you essentially a whole bunch of little pieces, and it's not a snap to grid system. It's really just a kind of almost like a Gary's mod where you can really assemble them together. And so what that's kind of allowed, I think, for Steam Workshop is people can almost make anything. So people are redesigning the main street of Disneyland, or doing all sorts of things. I even saw you can have mascots. I saw where I was watching a quick look on Giant Bomb, and they had their little Giant Bomb mascot. Somebody had rendered that in game, and it was walking around a theme park and stuff. So yeah, that's the cool thing, is I'm really playing with what the game has available. But once I get to that point where maybe I like to do very heavily themed projects, so I'll totally maybe I'll make a Nintendo based theme park like Universal Studios is gonna have soon, something like that. So yeah, it's sick. I can't recommend the game enough, especially if it gets on some sort of discount. Everybody should totally pick it up. It's a good time waster.
That's cool. I didn't actually know this game existed, and I love that. I love like Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff.
It's the best. It's probably the best tycoon game. It's certainly Roller Coaster Tycoon style game I've played since kind of the glory days of those. I'm really enjoying it. I'm hooked.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Kane, what you been playing, man?
Well, like Cameron said, I did a lot of buying. I didn't do so much playing. I picked up a whole bunch of games on Black Friday, like Titanfall 2. I got that. Nice. I bought some like just cheap gift games for people. Like Bloodborne was like $10. Like, come on.
Yeah, dude.
Like whoever didn't have Bloodborne now owns it, because I bought like 4. No, I'm just kidding.
Bloodborne for you.
Yeah, one for you, and Bloodborne for everyone. Like Oprah gif.
Yeah. Give them out at Halloween next year.
Yeah. I also found this physical copy of Axiom Verge in like a hard case for PC.
Dude, weird.
And it's
no way.
Yeah, it's like incredibly sexy. I love it.
Oh.
I'm showing it to the camera that none of you guys can actually see.
That's
where?
Fancy.
It was just at GameStop. It's a DRM free version of Axiom Verge, which I love that game deeply. So I saw it and I was just like, well, this is on sale, but it's really fucking cool, so I'm gonna buy it. And that's what I did. So I bought that. And
how much was it?
I think it was $20. It was like normal price.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And then I also bought Gears of War 4 on the Xbox One. And I was thinking,
I don't know.
Oh, I'll just buy this on the Xbox One because I really want to play it on PC, because you get like the Play Anywhere, thing. So I bought it, took it home, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this on my PC. Let's figure out how I can do this. Like, there's got to be a code in this box, right? No. Play Anywhere is only digital. If you buy a physical copy of an Xbox One game, you do not get it on PC.
Brutal. I actually they had a digital copy on sale that I picked up, and it was a nightmare getting it going because of Windows updates and stuff. Like, I needed every single update done. I was, I have Windows 10 and I'm updated to a degree, but I was missing apparently a few, and it was just a nightmare to get going. I finally got it going, but I haven't got to play it yet.
Yeah, you're playing on that Windows Store. They want to make sure you have all the updates.
And that was the nightmare aspect of it. And the interface is so terrible, too, because it jumps you between the Windows Store and then Games for Windows, just like constantly. Like, you're jumping between these two different pages left and right. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll play Gears of War 4 on my scrubby console version. I'm sure it'll be fine.
You can still cross play, right? Like, we can do horde mode.
No.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's good.
PC crossplay for sure.
Yeah. And you guys can just do way better because you have a keyboard and mouse.
We'll let you know how it is.
Man, I'll be on the console with you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And I'm still playing Pokemon quite a bit. I played a lot of Pokemon actually the last couple of days. I kind of was in a lull over the holidays, but like the last 2 days I totally got like right back into it. And man, the more I play that game, the more I am just totally in love with it. Like, all of the Pokemon designs are like incredible. Like, I get an evolution. Like, I'm not looking up any of the Pokemon, so I don't actually know what they look like, but I'm just getting like an evolution as they come, and it's just like every time like my jaw drops. Like, man, the toucan, like the toucan bird.
Yes,
oh my
so
god,
cool.
so good.
I was gonna say, who's your favorite new Pokemon so far, Kane? Or at least
I don't know, but
one.
I really like the evolution of the little rock puppy.
Oh yeah, Rockruff.
I forgot his name. Yeah, Rockruff's evolution. They go a weird way with him that I didn't expect, and that second evolution is really, really cool. And just like the Alola forms in general, like all the Alola forms are so good. Like,
they are cool.
There's an Alola freaking Raichu. Like, I saw that, and spoilers ahead for Alola Raichu, but he's like surfing on like his tail, and he's psychic type. He's electric and psychic. Like, that's so cool.
Dude,
psychic
neat.
is a funny choice for that. It's like the surfer bum on the beach is psychic. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
You gotta open your mind, bruh.
Exactly. Yes.
Just
I would
totally
actually I was wonder trading some Donald Trumps the other day, and I got I got this
young goose.
awesome. Yep, they're so good for it. I actually got this really cool one called Minery, whatever. It's a poison water starfish, and it's badass. It can like learn recover. It like a super tanky. It is officially on my team. It's gonna replace the water spider thing.
Yeah, I had the water spider too, and I was like totally disappointed with his evolution. Actually,
I would almost go
Wasn't
as far as
into
say it's my favorite new design generation, maybe since Gold Silver. Even maybe they're they're really animalistic, which is something I feel like they lost their way a bit.
Yep, that's where I'm right there with you. I haven't been into a Pokemon game and like super psyched about it since like Gold and Silver. There's a freaking Ice Vulpix. How cool is that?
That one's exclusive to Moon, or is it Sun? I think it's Sun actually.
I don't know, but I saw a picture of it.
Which
the other one gets the other one gets the Ice Sandslash, which is
Are
awesome.
you serious?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I will trade. I did pick up a copy of Sun, and so I will trade any of you guys my Ice Vulpix for an Ice Sandslash, because that seems so much better.
That means I
to
get to
me.
catch
Josh knows what's up. I totally agree. Ice Sandslash is way cooler than Ice.
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
love Vulpix.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, Vulpix is just such a basic bitch Pokemon. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's fine. That hurts. That stings a little. But I like the basic bitch Pokemon. Okay, I'm the Eevee fan.
Eevee.
I like the basic bitch Pokemon.
Nice. Cody, what's been going on with your video gaming?
Well, I also picked up Pokemon. I picked up Pokemon Moon, and I have played it very little, unfortunately. Yeah, but I have played it a little bit. I am still on the first island because all of my playtime has been... I started it up and got through, and I saw the Alola Rattata, and I was like, why do I need any other Pokemon, though? Because Rattata is my favorite Pokemon already, and that's a really bad Pokemon to have as your favorite. But The Alola
Convenient.
Rattata is fucking awesome.
You've seen the
but
Alola Eradicate, right?
not yet.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
Oh.
Just wait.
I'm keeping that Rattata in my party. I want to play it more, but okay. So the stupidest reason why I like ended up not progressing off the first island in Pokemon was that I got to the town, like the first sort of big town where you can buy cosmetics. That's all I did.
Oh my god.
I changed my hair like 4 times. I was like, I don't know if this is what I want. I just did that, and then I had no money, and I was like, son of a bitch. Like, I'm a baddie.
Well done. Well
but
done.
I also stopped playing because I got lured away by ARPGs. So I have been playing a ton of Titan Quest Anniversary Edition, which is so good. I love it because
so
they
good.
take just everything that was good about Immortal Throne and Titan Quest, and they just make it run better, except for you still can't alt-tab out of the game for some fucking reason.
Have you, sorry to interrupt you, have you played Grim Dawn? That's the
have
ARPG
not, but
by the Titan Quest people.
Yeah, after I am done playing Titan Quest, I'll probably buy Grim Dawn, because it is the next logical step.
Yeah.
Because it looks so toasty good, and I was watching my roommate play it, and it looked awesome. But then a lot of my other friends, have been playing Diablo 3, like all of them. Everyone I play D&D with is now playing Diablo 3. It's ridiculous.
That's so weird.
I
That is
know.
really
Strange shift.
Yeah.
This is like the one point in my life where I haven't been playing Diablo 3, and like everyone else is playing it.
Yeah, like Ned, Tempest, Cayman, our friend Bradley, Luke, Cameron, Russ, everybody is
It
playing
just takes one. It just takes
Yeah.
one person who hasn't played
it took Tempest
ever.
buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's butterfly effect.
Yeah, but so then I am playing it now, but my stipulation is that I'm only playing hardcore mode with Cameron going through the campaign.
Nice. Yeah, dude, hardcore is the way to go. That game, it ups the stakes a lot in that
Yeah.
game. It makes it way more fun.
And I'm going to be super spicy by being in the thick of combat with a barbarian.
Nice.
So I'm rolling the dice. But yeah, just
Yeah.
ARPGs and Pokemon. Normally I don't play
Nice.
RPGs during the winter, though, which is why I feel like I went to Titan Quest and stuff, because I was playing Pokemon. I was like, I don't want to play an RPG right now. I play RPGs during the summer. I don't know why. I'm weird like that. And then I was like, this is fun, but also I don't know. And then I saw Luke playing Grim Dawn. I was like, I know a game like that. I installed Titan Quest, and then I don't know where Titan Quest ends and the rest of my life begins.
Hey, you know what we should do? We should all play Diablo 2.
Cameron Martin's doing
Dude, I
that,
just
actually.
started it.
Did you really?
Really?
Fuck
You
yeah,
should
I
get a
did.
hold of Martin, because he's playing as well.
Was it 4 people or 5 people in a room?
4.
In
Oh,
Diablo
it's 4.
3, it's 4. In Diablo 2, it's 8.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We should try to get one
Yeah.
for each class. That would be
Jesus.
sweet. One for each class, hardcore run through the campaign.
Dude, let's do it.
Oh man, that would be a blast.
I will have to get a
Oh,
hold of a
man.
copy of Diablo 2. Which Cameron was saying, Martin, sorry, I forgot we have a Cameron in this podcast. Martin was saying that they don't sell it? Like, on
No, they
Battle.net?
totally do.
They do?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can actually buy it on their store.
He's a brungus
yeah.
then. He's a dingus. He doesn't- okay.
Yeah.
He was
You
telling
go to-
me, he was like, you can't buy it, I guess? So
You
he
can't buy
probably-
No,
Diablo
the
1.
original battle. Yeah, the original one you can't. But if you go to Battle.net in their classic sections, you can totally buy D2 with Lord's Destruction.
I think it was just because he pulled up the launcher, and he was probably looking at that, and was like, what do you mean? It's not on here. But, okay.
There's
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he did look, and maybe it's kind of hard to find. I'll give him the
No.
benefit of the doubt.
okay.
What
What
about
about
you,
you,
Josh?
Josh?
What have you been playing?
Oh yeah, everybody all together.
Yeah.
On to the news.
Oh, real quick. When we do our final countdown, when we have it solidified, I think I want you guys all to cheer the number, and then I say what game is number 25. We'll do that all the way down to number 1.
Oh god.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
25, and then I say
Oh
it.
my
And then
God.
24. Yeah.
Can't
yeah.
you just get like stock audio? Of,
I've
like,
carried
kids
I've
screaming
carried the
numbers?
75 so far. You guys can help me with this last leg.
I can
What
just
if-
do it in my Toad
I like
voice if you guys want.
And that's what I'm
I'll
banking
do it
on.
in my-
actually.
Jesus.
I will do it in my terrifying voice.
I
Anyway,
will just do it in my normal Josh voice. But anyways, yeah, to continue the ARPG theme this year, I suppose. Um, it may come to you guys as a shock for most of you, maybe some of you, who knows. I beat Diablo 1 for the first time.
Wow, that's really the first time you beat it.
Wonderful. Yep.
Wow.
It was Thanksgiving Day, which I kind of have a weird history of beating video games on holidays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I beat Diablo 1 for the first time, and yeah, boy, that was really not a. I mean, you know, it's an old ass game.
It's an old ass game.
Yeah, the ending was just like Diablo's dead. Congratulations.
Yep.
Shove gem
Pretty
in
much.
forehead.
Yep.
Yep.
1996,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
I want to say 20 years, almost on the dot, Josh.
Nice. That's okay. It's never too late.
It's
But-
there's actually a funny story that might be in my YouTube thing, but when they like were creating that cinematic, the team that were making the game weren't actually making the cinematics, and they sent they requested a cinematic be made like to Blizzard's other like part in like California or whatever like that, and they made the cinematic, and then they just sent it to Blizzard North to like see it so they could actually implement it into the game, and they just all watched the cinematic together, and they were like, oh, this is really cool. And then like when he shoved the gem in his head, everybody was just like, why did he do that? Like the people who made the game didn't know, like who knows where that came from, so they just wrote the story around this cinematic that random like graphics CGI
Nice.
people made. I thought that was pretty funny.
And then how do they play that off? It's that he's trying to contain. He doesn't think that only that he can contain Diablo's soul, essentially.
Well, I thought it was
Yeah.
more that he got seduced by the power.
No, it's he shoves it in his head so he could contain the demon and keep it at bay. I
Which
think
you
that's an
obviously
actual quote.
can't if you play Diablo 2.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's perfect setup for Diablo 2, yeah.
Well, and then
So-
2, is there like a story? And then how do they deal with the other soul stones? It's the hammer, right? Like the Hellforge. Can't you just go down there and hit him with a hammer and you're good?
Yep. Yeah, in Diablo 2 they find out about the Hellforge and they smash them all.
Poor guy. If only he knew.
If only.
I mean, it wasn't written into the story yet, so
He was in hell. He had just killed the devil, and the devil
He
turned
was
into a
in the heat
naked
of the
child.
moment.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you want from him?
I always liked that scene, and I kind of got it. I always thought it was like, oh, he's being heroic. Cool.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then he fucked Adria.
Yeah.
I
God damn it.
guess so.
Oh.
Yeah. Then that was the next bit, but yeah, so yeah, killing Diablo was super easy mode. However, level 15 was a fucking nightmare. Holy shit. There were so many of those fucking succubus. So bad. So
Yep.
bad. There was like waves of them.
Mhm.
And just like stupid little blood fire. I don't even think it was the same. I don't think it's the same attack from the last time, but like it was all yellow and stuff, but like
Mhm.
seriously be a wave of them, and I could not. Being a warrior, there's absolutely no way.
Yep. Yeah,
No way.
I stopped slacking and finally started editing some of that Diablo stuff, and I think you will you'll laugh, I think, when you see that, because mine, instead of succubus, it was just tons of shit wizards just teleporting everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
the
just
advocates.
like walking right toward them, just swinging my sword once, teleport, walk over to the shit wizard, hit him. It was horrible.
Yeah, dude, but it's such a nightmare. I completely skipped level 15. I walked around until I found Lazarus's lair, killed him, went straight to Diablo, and yeah, did not fuck around with any of that shit at all. And yeah, dude, Diablo, like he hit me like maybe twice the whole battle, but I just beat the shit out of him until he's dead.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to use potions or anything.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't have that easy of a time, but it's yeah, he's a pushover. He's pretty easy.
That's a pretty awesome gear by the end of it, but
That's the weird thing about ARPGs, real quick, is the fights, like the boss fights, to me, always seem so anticlimactic. You just walk into a room, and your character just like, ha 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 ha, and just swings a sword, the same animation you do for every fucking piece of shit guy that comes across you.
Yep.
And you just do that until the boss is dead, or if you have skills, you just use those when their cooldowns are gone. You're like, okay, cool. And then he's dead. He falls over, does some cool animation, you get a cutscene, you're like, that's pretty neat. I'm glad no one, like, if you think about the lore of, like, here the great hero entered the chamber and fought Diablo, and it's just, this guy just swinging a sword like a fuckhead at his foot, and then he dies.
Just chugging potions like he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so after I finished Diablo, I promptly went and installed Diablo 2, and seriously, that was like 30 minutes of like, how the fuck do I get this to run on Windows 10? But I figured it out. I got it all figured out and all that nonsense. Had to download like some kind of third-party OpenGL driver thing to get it to run proper.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, played that for a little while, and that was... I haven't really got too far in D2, but I've also been trudging through Watch Dogs 2. That game is just so weird. Like, I find myself just... There's times where I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I just want this game to be fucking over with already. And then there's other moments where I'm like, man, this is really cool. And, like, you actually start to connect with some of the characters a little bit, so they're not so like one-dimensional and all that. But then there's other times where you're sneaking into like the game's equivalent of Facebook, and you distract a security guard by like dialing their phone, and the second you walk through the door, another security guard just spawns directly behind them, like just spawns out of thin air, and then you get caught. And in Watch Dogs 2, if you get caught by security or the cops, you're pretty much fucking dead. You can't shake them. And it's aggravating. It is incredibly aggravating. So yeah, like it's just moments of like, just moments of trying to get through this game, and then just dealing with nonsense like that, but then also like doing really cool shit as well too. Like, it is like, it is a weird experience overall so far. So it's yeah, I don't know where to put Watch Dogs.
I'm curious on it. It was one of, I think we have a big holiday lineup of games that I think overall, especially for as bad as they could have been, I think most of these games were above, average. Dishonored 2, Titanfall 2, Gears of War 4, and of course Watch Dogs 2. They were all kind of on my list, especially for, $25, $30 range, kind of trying to find them during the sales weekend. And Watch Dogs 2 was like the one that just wasn't budging. And I think because of that, in some ways, it's going to kind of get left in the dust for me. I'm interested in it, more interested than I thought I was going to be like 6 months ago. I've heard that the characters aren't as eye-rolly as you think they are, that actually they have some good, genuine moments, and that the world's really fun, especially to like play through it like non-lethally, or at least not getting your hands bloody, you could say.
It's impossible.
Oh, really? So I've heard a lot of people, like, that's the only way that they are playing through it, is essentially they aren't killing anybody themselves. They are only doing it through hacking or summoning gang members, that kind of thing.
Yeah, as long as their game doesn't sporadically spawn cops or units in your direct path, that's a possibility. But I mean, and I'm playing on PS4, maybe like it's different on PC or even Xbox One, but it's like basically fucking impossible to go undetected through an entire mission. It's, at least in my experience with the game so far, which is incredibly aggravating, because the first one I totally did a stealth playthrough in it. Yeah, it's mediocre at best.
Yeah, I think it's going to get left behind. Like I said, it's the only one of those that I didn't pick up, and I think that's going to be the case with a lot of people. In fact, Ubisoft, I want to say, is already stating that it's not about day one sales anymore. It's about their games having legs long term. That sounds almost like, a cop-out in a sense. A lot of the, we saw Titanfall 2 drop tremendously. GameStop recently actually reported that quarter 3 was really bad for them, and quarter 4 is going to be about as bad. People think that day one sales for a lot of these AAA games are faltering tremendously compared to how they used to, even games that are good, like Titanfall 2 and Doom. It's interesting. I feel like I remember people were having this general conversation 4 or 5 years ago, kind of with the rise of cell phones, wondering if big AAA games were going to be able to continue to be successful financially, especially. It feels like that conversation's starting to come up again, because these games it's not quality exactly. Watch Dogs 2 aside, a lot of these other games, it's not quality, but none of them are really selling well. Like Battlefield 1 might be like the only game that I would consider selling tremendously well. It's weird.
Pokemon is selling well.
Yeah, Pokemon and Overwatch, but beyond those three, like everything else isn't doing as good as a game like it would have done 3 or 4 years ago. Because like they are 8 out of 10 games for the most part. It's
I just
interesting.
wonder where the overall economy is, like, because it seems like more so this year than previous ones. Like nobody's got any money, so it's kind of like, what, I don't know. Maybe that has something to play with it.
And they have a lot more fear too, so that could be a part of it.
It's true. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, overall, it's been I wouldn't say that my time has been wasted with Watch Dogs 2, but I'm certainly not gonna come back to it after I finish it, and I'm almost just kind of trying to get it marked off the list so I can move on. I've got like Dishonored 2. I want to play Final Fantasy, but I'm not even really gonna have a chance to get to that until next week, I would say, probably. So yeah, it's
Let's.
Yeah.
I was alluding to this earlier before the cast, and since we're gonna kind of jump into finish our top list, and call it a wrap, let's actually take the time to talk about that now. I don't think any of us have played Final Fantasy 15 yet, right? Like we have it in our hot little hand, but we haven't played it yet. Yeah, I'm there too. And I want to say this before next week after I've actually played it. I'm expecting it to be a good game. I'm expecting it to be fun and interesting, do a lot of new things, but with people talking about it so much, and especially a lot of people talking about nostalgia, a lot of my favorite gaming sites are really into the idea of a Final Fantasy again. It's that word right there, actually, is again. I just don't know if Final Fantasy, like, I think I've, more than any other game series that maybe was good before and isn't quite there for me, I feel like I've really moved on from Final Fantasy. Like, I don't know what they would have to, essentially what they did with Final Fantasy 9 when they went back and they tried to be nostalgic, they tried to do a love letter because it was the creator of Final Fantasy, his last time being the director of the series. They would need to do that again for me to actually want Final Fantasy again, because it used to be kind of a medieval, sometimes borderline steampunk, but medieval technology and fantasy type of game. And be it Final Fantasy X, be it Kingdom Hearts influence, it turned into kind of sci-fi anime. And it has been for quite some time. And I'm just not into that. Like, I love the idea of a road trip. I love the idea of, pushing your car at the start of the game and slow, intimate moments with a group of buddies. That's great. But I want that group of buddies to be like, Zidane and Vivi, or not even them. It could even be Squall and Zell. I mean, they weren't exactly super medieval. That's pretty much sci-fi anime in a sense. But these guys all in their black and they're with their crazy anime haircuts and just all that stuff. I have nothing against anime. I like a few animes and stuff, but it's not what I want from Final Fantasy. It's just something I've been thinking about lately, and it doesn't matter. Like, this game, I hope it's gonna be good. I want them to do well, but it's just gone, I guess, is what I'm it's just, I've let go.
I'm kind of right there with you as a fellow person who has really loved Final Fantasy pretty much their whole life. But I feel, in my personal opinion, this is kind of exactly almost what I want. I feel like if they released a turn-based game, I don't really know how excited I would be about it, honestly.
See, and I was trying not to bring up turn-based and anything there, because that's not like what it's about. It's easy to kind of do that. It's more about the aesthetics. Like, to me, like, at a glance, you take out the chocobos and the summons in this game, and that's the only thing that keeps the Final Fantasy name on the box.
Totally, and that's exactly what I was like getting to, was the medieval thing back then was really popular and just kind of like a nerd thing, it wasn't. Now medieval is very overdone to me. If it was a generic, I mean, it doesn't need to necessarily be generic, but just like a steampunk, like Final Fantasy 9 type world, I don't really know that it's that engaging to me. I kind of like the Final Fantasy 15 world, at least from what I've seen, because it's like, you're right, it's kind of like sci-fi anime is how you put it. And I think that's a good description of it. But I also like that there's like these gigantic monsters and kind of, it kind of still has this like fantasy vibe to me. We'll see if that actually plays through when I play it, but I don't know. I kind of like the vibe of it personally.
I'm hoping, and I did like Final Fantasy X, so hopefully it's there. It's around that.
I think kind of what you're saying too there came with like the period of like Final Fantasy 9 and like the medieval, all that kind of stuff. I would probably venture to say that the sci-fi is more of the safe play right now, and right now the Final Fantasy franchise is suffering. Like, they've already said, like, if this does not perform well, that like they're not going to do any more Final Fantasies. So I think they are trying to prove that they can release a game that is fun and overall it can be a good Final Fantasy game, and
Yeah.
then hopefully somewhere down the line they can go maybe kind of get more in touch with their roots again. And I don't even think that necessarily means like going back to the same type of gameplay and everything, but yeah, just overall really really capturing like the world of the worlds that they can create, and like just all the crazy creatures and all that such. I mean, I think it's also probably that was the original creators design of the game.
And I'd argue it's been suffering ever since they've done the sci-fi thing.
Yeah,
I mean, Final Fantasy 13 and the 3 games of it, Final Fantasy 12 is okay, but I think we gave it a pass in some ways looking back. Like a lot of Final Fantasy games that are following this safer approach doesn't feel safe to me. It feels like they're just gonna keep, coming out and being all right. We'll see. I mean, this one's tough. This one almost has a Star Wars thing right now because like you're not comparing it to the franchise as a whole. You're comparing it to the prequels, quote unquote, aka Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns. So it's probably gonna feel better than that one. But I'm wanting the glory days, and it doesn't need to go back to Fantasy Medieval. It doesn't need to go back to turn based. I just feel like they lost their way, and this is almost a bigger conversation of how the game industry is so afraid to do new franchises, be Assassin's Creed 4 to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, how they could have just made that a pirate franchise. They just want people to see that franchise, go, oh, I remember that, and buy the game just because of the franchise. When now we're an industry that is suffering tremendously from sequelitis. Everyone is moaning and groaning about how we only get the same franchises over and over and over. This is why. It's because sometimes even when they want to pretty much start a new franchise of a game series with new ideas and stuff, they're so afraid that they just stick it into that franchise. Let's just throw in chocobos here and some summons there, and boom, this contemporary sci-fi game about 4 friends is now a Final Fantasy game. It's like Doki Doki Panic to the crazy degree in a lot of ways.
I really hope it doesn't feel like that. I hope what you just described is not how that game feels, because I don't want it to feel that way.
It started off as Versus 13.
Right,
so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing that Final Fantasy has always done for me is provided me with relatable characters. The reason I love the Final Fantasy games is because of those characters. All the ones that I really love are like I've said just 3 times now, the characters. Like the writing, they're relatable. You feel like you can just get along with them and almost hang out with them. So 13 didn't have that, in my opinion. None of them were relatable. I didn't like any of those characters. Neither did 12. So 15 seems to kind of be going in that way of here's like a group of 4 or more characters that seem personable and like cool dudes to hang out with. So if they get me just with that, I'll probably be in.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I expect good things from the game, but I kind of wanted to say this before we really sink into it, because it's everyone's talking about it right now, and I've just been thinking a lot about why do I like Final Fantasy, and why does this game not, like, even if this game's rock solid, there's something about it. Like, I almost like reluctantly went to the store and grabbed a copy. I feel almost obligated to play it more than that terribly excited. So I do hope it's awesome, but I think I've kind of made my peace.
Yeah. Yep, I think overall, for me, is the worlds that they kind of dream up and how they fill them and the people that are in there. And yeah, like 13 just felt just shallow, and I didn't play 12, so I don't really have an opinion, here or there. But I mean, with like 14, it seems like they did a really, really good job kind of filling that world in and all the different story with that too. I mean, it's an MMO. But I've kind of, for myself personally, if Final Fantasy 15 has a really like rich, really rich world with a lot of new and interesting characters, and just like a lot of really great like story overall. That's a really dumb way to put all that, but
no,
I mean,
you're right.
It's just if it's really filled full, like I would say, like Witcher, like I kind of feel like this Final Fantasy 15 will, I mean, if it does it right, will probably be more comparable to like a Witcher type of RPG than a Final Fantasy. But I'm kind of hoping that it achieves that level. But yeah, I guess it's all kind of all up in the air until we actually sit down and play it. So
Well, I think even it'll be good quality, and that's a good. The Witcher comparison is exactly what I'm thinking too. I don't think it's gonna be that polished, but I think it's gonna be exactly that type of game, and that's kind of what I'm saying is why just making a new franchise. Another feather in your cap, Square, but it's marketing. It drives me nuts with the game industry. It seems like it's getting worse and worse every single year. Kind of looking at this list of generation games, like so many great games on here, but the number of numbers at the end of these games is almost like, come on.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Well, that was a quick minute on Final Fantasy 15. We'll check back with you next week and give you the update on what we think. I'm sure we will all, well, for the most part, played all of it. Cody, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah. I might play it, but it's not looking like that because Luke bought it, but he put his PS4 in his room so he can just play it whenever he wants. So I probably just won't be playing it. Plus, I don't know. I was not excited about it when it was coming out. I'm just so pessimistic when it comes to Final Fantasy. Everyone was like, oh, 15 looks so awesome. And I was like, it does look pretty cool. I'll give them that. But I do not have high hopes whatsoever. Until somebody tells me otherwise, I'm convinced it's a bad game.
I think I invested all my heart into The Last Guardian instead.
Oh, dude.
Which I'm expecting to come out, get 7 out of 10s, and everybody says that it has dated gameplay, but I'm going to love it. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited for Last Guardian. I'll play it, and if it's bad, then I'll begrudgingly finish it, but I hope it's good.
Yeah, if nothing else, Last Guardian is closure. Finally, just close the book on that one, and we can move on with our lives. It'll be a major milestone.
Oh gosh,
yep,
get closure.
Yeah,
it's the 10th episode. We finally mention it.
Do you suppose we ought to take a quick little break before we get into our games of the generation top 25?
I would like a glass of water.
I was gonna say I could use a good cough real quick.
Alrighty. Well, everybody's already breaking, but we're gonna be right back. They're going away. Hey, we're back. All right, so we did a roughed.
We did
a rough ranking of the games of the top 25, but this week we have to put them in their place, and that is no small task.
Nope. Round 1 fight. Round 3 fight, actually.
Yeah, so how do we want to do this, since we've already done the round robin ranking?
I'd say we almost work bottom up in a sense, just for funsies in a lot of ways. Also, I think deciding what the top 5 are and the order of those top 5 might be tricky. But really, I think at first we should pick ones that don't fit. Sorry. I personally think Wii Sports has to drop.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I guess if we want to stick them between from 1 to 5, we have them set up there 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 11 to 15, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Do we want to move something up from the 5 to 10s?
Well, I think, okay, so what if we Twilight Princess this? What if we find a game that looks like it's in the right spot, and then we determine if a game is better or worse than that game?
I, in so many ways, love Galaxy right above BioShock, and those two being at number 5, 6, 6, 7, 4, 5, something like that. So, personally, really? I think that's a good bar.
Really?
Kane he's beside himself right now.
Oh, I think it's just funny because, in so many ways, we had this whole fight but this whole list and the Galaxy and even the Last of Us ideas. I think what was important to me in a sense is that neither one of those games are number 1, but I fully want them in our top 5-ish.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about BioShock. I also don't think that BioShock should be our number 1, but I want it up there. I actually really love these top 3, be it Red Dead Redemption, Dark Souls, and Minecraft. We'll have to talk about the order of those, but I think those are just because in a lot of ways they're examples of the generation. That's almost what I'm coming down to.
Yeah.
Like, they defined it in so many ways. Like, those 3 games represent, you could swap Last of Us with Red Dead Redemption, but both of them represent story polish. This generation had that like no other. Dark Souls and its return to difficulty with nothing like that since the original NES days, you could argue. Maybe Super Nintendo. And of course Minecraft speaks for itself. So those 3 I just love where they are. Wii Sports 2 also does represent the generation in a lot of ways, but I think its lack of game quality content, I think it's up here on influence alone, and therefore should drop a little bit, but I'm not sure where.
Yeah,
So-
I think Wii Sports should drop quite a bit, personally. It's very important, but top 25 is still very high.
Do we
I'm thinking
wanna
about sending
maybe...
it down to like Skyrim, Portal 2, Call of Duty, probably below Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's safe. I mostly said it last week just because I feel like it would have been very, very forgotten by everybody.
No, I think it's very important, but I think that one of the things that Wii Sports doesn't do is that it doesn't really have a legacy. It didn't really, like it was a huge fad for a long time, but that's kind of come and gone, and we're not really changed because of it.
I think it's more important to its generation than the game I'm about to say is, but it's very Duck Hunt. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Its success is the system's success. And
Totally.
It's hard to separate the two. But certainly top 20, 25 game, which is still, still above a lot of games. It's currently above Demon's Souls, which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah.
Very prestigious.
So it's this kind of middle area that I'm especially worried about. Probably from, depending on certain people's opinion, Grand Theft Auto 5, which I want to be kind of higher up personally. But really from Mass Effect 2 down to about Call of Duty, that's kind of the big blob that's kind of intimidating to me.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we have moved Wii Sports down, so right now, just looking at it, are there any games above Wii Sports that look like they're worse than Wii Sports? And I don't think there are. I guess so.
No, I think everything
defeats
above
that
Wii Sports is
argument there.
good.
Yeah.
But does Batman seem low to anyone else? Batman at 20 seems a little low to me. Or it's not 20, it's at 23.
Since much like Demon's Souls is on here and Dark Souls is above it, Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5 being above it, I'd personally move Batman to above Left 4 Dead, maybe above Fallout.
Yeah.
Maybe below Left 4 Dead,
I would
but
say probably,
I'd put above Grand Theft Auto 4 at least.
I think Batman probably should sit below Fallout and in between Fallout and Left 4 Dead. I think that's probably a good placement for it.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah, that feels better. Yeah.
Okay, so here are 2 that we both really, really, really love, and are higher than our list and probably a lot of other people's list. And I think that's going to be Burnout Paradise and Dead Space. How do we feel about those in relation to the games around them?
I have a little. Okay, so Dead Space, I think, it's a very good game. I think it's really, it stands out in a generation that didn't have very many of these types of games. But I don't like it gets compared to Resident Evil 4 a lot, and this might just be because I'm a huge Resident Evil 4 nut. But when I think about Dead Space, I'm not really. I don't remember it as well as RE4. I've played RE4 obviously a lot more, but like just I don't really know where I'm going with this, but
But that speaks to itself as well. I mean, if you played RE4 more than you played Dead Space, I mean, it kind of follows suit with your point of what you're saying, how you don't remember a lot because you didn't play it a lot. You didn't play it a lot, you played other games more than it.
You're just trying to set up a nice soft breakup for this game, aren't you?
Yeah, kind of. I don't
it
think
is
it's
by
as
far
good
and
as
away
RE4.
again, I hate to bring this into the conversation, but it's a silly metric, but it is by far and away the lowest Metacritic score in our top 25. I said, that's why I brought it up. We love it more than a lot of people, but I think there's a reason why critically it's probably the only game on this list on this top 25 that got solid 8s, where a lot of these other ones were solid 9s and solid 10s. Again, This is our list, and Dead Space should be up on it because it is. Josh and I especially love it. Cody does too. Josh and I want to say Josh at Game Crazy, we almost got fired over Dead Space in some ways. I think we're doing something we shouldn't have. I can't remember, but I think we were so excited for the game that we did something to make sure that we secured ourselves copy. I don't, typical game chain bad stuff. I don't know, but so I think it holds a special place in our heart.
Yeah,
some stupid thing. So yeah, it's a tough
Yeah,
one. That's why I brought it up. I have no idea where it's because it's not anything against Dead Space. It's more a testament to the games around it.
Yeah.
How about right above Wii Sports, right below Call of Duty 4?
Oh yeah.
It's so tough. Call of Duty
Yeah.
4's influence is very, very important. But I like if what do you want to play tonight? If those are my two options, it's Dead Space and a heartbeat. But
Me too, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're in the minority there.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
But it is again.
It's
I
our
was
list.
saying, it's our list.
Sure.
It's a combination of opinion and also like.
Yeah, I'm just, and it's more for us in relation to ourselves. I just don't want us to like overhype in a lot of ways. Dead Space was, a gem. It came out of nowhere. It reminded us of Resident Evil 4 and games like it that we like so much. Like, are those the reasons why we put it on such a high pedestal, or is it that it has quality and content to the level of an Uncharted 2, a Metal Gear Solid 4?
I will say in the argument of like, yeah, we should probably put Dead Space just above Call of Duty. Is that like Dead Space is an amazing game, but if you do go back and play it, it's not the game design that makes the controls clunky, it's like bad optimization that makes the controls clunky. Like you play the game and the controls are not great in the first one.
I don't feel that way.
Yeah,
I honestly
I
feel
think
like
they're
the
fine.
first game was pretty well done. I mean, unless you're playing on PC with mouse and keyboard, you're absolutely fucked. But
even with controller on PC, and I went back and I played it on the PlayStation, and it's like, I guess comparatively to Dead Space 2, it controls worse. Like Dead Space 2 controls amazingly. Dead Space 1, like, maybe I'm wrong.
You played it on PC, didn't you?
I played it most on PS3.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, wasn't the PC
I guess I
versions
don't
of
share
Dead
that
Space
sentiment
terrible?
with you.
I forgot that. I think actually Street Fighter 4 might need to move down, but I think actually the way we should approach this also is, Josh specifically, Dead Space or Metal Gear Solid 4.
Metal Gear.
Dead Space or Burnout Paradise.
Boy, I would probably do Paradise, to be honest.
Dead
That's
Space
a tough one.
Dead Space or Portal 2.
I would do Portal 2.
Okay, let's move it right there between Portal and Skyrim, and we'll move on to something else, and we'll come back. Because I think Skyrim and Call of Duty and stuff, those are different conversations where we all have a huge appreciation for Metal Gear Paradise and Portal 2. And speaking of those, I also think Street Fighter 4 should move down. I've actually been thinking about this. Street Fighter 4 did save fighting games, kind of in what I'm about to say, quote unquote, around save. It did, yes. But its impact after the fact, we had fighting games come out, but they by no means were a significant genre on this generation. It was nice comparatively to the PS2, but fighting, I mean, you have a lot of your kind of under the radar fighting games, and they are excellent, especially when you're really into them. But I'm a big fighting game fan. I love games like Marvel vs. Capcom this generation, a whole bunch of fighting games in general. Marvel vs. Capcom 4 is a rumor at PSX, by the way. But I think that Street Fighter 4, though important, doesn't represent the generation, and that's kind of almost what I'm coming to in this top 25, as much as at least Metal Gear Solid 4 or Portal 2. You could maybe use that same argument against Burnout Paradise, how that obviously didn't exactly send waves through the industry, except for love and, I guess, critical praise, but it certainly, obviously, we never got another Burnout like it again. I just think that, to me, if we're talking about what represented this generation, games like Metal Gear Solid 4 and Uncharted 2 and Portal 2 come to mind way more than even Street Fighter 4 does.
I guess maybe it's just my skew playing a lot of fighting games, but I played Street Fighter 4 more than I played Metal Gear, more than I played Burnout, more than I played Uncharted, more than I played Rock Band. I played more Street Fighter 4 than I played Rock Band.
I bet you didn't play more Street Fighter than you watched me play Rock Band.
That is true. I don't think I've played any game more than I've watched you play Rock Band.
Well, I mean, what do we think about Street Fighter 4? Where should it go?
I think it's fine to move down, but I feel like you guys are amping it up to fall down a lot. And
not fall down a lot.
I'm fine with it moving maybe 2 positions, maybe 3, because Portal 2, maybe just right above Dead Space.
I think Portal 2 needs to move up. That might help.
Yeah. I feel like that's gonna fix a lot of stuff.
Where's Portal 2 compared to Metal Gear Solid 4?
I can't speak much to Metal Gear Solid 4, but I can speak to Portal 2. And
That's a very hard thing.
Isn't that a tricky one? This is why this is this top 25 is gonna be so hard for that reason. I think they're both above Street Fighter 4, but in relation to each other, that's hard.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I will let whoever say what they want to say about Metal Gear Solid 4, but with Portal 2, like the Portal series, because was Portal 1 on PS3?
Only in the orange box.
Oh, okay.
And digitally.
Yeah, so the Portal games, specifically Portal 2 being the better one, it brought a whole new, like, there were not a ton of first-person action puzzle, like, shooter, technically, games in existence before the Portal series, and I don't know, I feel like it was a very influential puzzle game because it was a puzzle game in a triple A puzzle game on its own is like mind-boggling because those don't generally exist.
For me, Portal is significant, but it's not even so much about its puzzle and gameplay mechanics. Those are strong, but if you only had those puzzle and gameplay mechanics without its world and mythos it created around itself, and especially without its writing and its comedy, then it probably wouldn't be a top 25 for me.
That's why people love that game.
Its writing and its comedy are definitely worthy of praise to be up in probably a top 10 to top 15. It's tough because what is it in relation to Uncharted 2, Rock Band, Mass Effect 2? Games like that. It's hard to gauge. I just love them for so many different reasons.
I guess when it comes to, I mean, I would put Uncharted over Portal 2 myself personally. Portal has really, really great gameplay mechanics, and comedy overall is pretty good over it. But I mean, Uncharted 2 to me, just from the characters and then just how they really, really refined a lot of the gameplay of Uncharted, I feel like that game deserves to be over Portal 2. Rock Band is has a weird. It is hard.
Rock Band's really hard to judge too.
It plays by different rules, doesn't it? I think it might need to live right side by side Street Fighter 4 though in some ways.
Yeah, I think Rock Band's a little high right now personally.
I think they're very similar.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would agree with Isley in the fact that Rock Band and Street Fighter should be around the same area because they're both games that rest on multiplayer laurels. Like, you have to play that with other people or else you're not gonna have as much fun. Like, it's just how it works. That's just how it is.
I love singling people out with questions like this because they're fun this way. Kane, Rock Band or Metal Gear Solid 4?
Rock Band.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
And well, Josh, same question. I actually think Metal Gear Solid 4 is obviously we all love that game, but it's not untouchable in the same ways that Dead Space isn't untouchable. I think there are some games that are untouchable, and those are kind of this top area. But almost anything below it, I feel like maybe from Uncharted up.
Yeah.
Actually,
Metal Gear Solid 4 is really good, and I talked about that last week. Just there's a lot of really cool special things about that game, but it's made for specific people, and when it comes down to it, with a little bit of wiggle room, it's probably still the worst Metal Gear Solid game.
Ouch. Ouch.
It's Josh's favorite. It's Josh's favorite.
I feel like
really? That's your favorite?
Yeah, I feel Josh's favorite.
Oh wow.
Well, see, my favorite might be the one that Josh would say is the worst Metal Gear Solid game.
2?
Yep.
My favorite's 5.
My favorite's 3 because 3 is
shocker,
really good.
Kane.
I don't feel like enough time has passed for me to be able to consider 5 alongside the other games. It takes me a long time to
5
accept
and 3.
them.
Guys.
Yeah, 3's a big one.
We're all so unique little flowers. We all have a different favorite Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah, that is sweet.
And there's
no
a lot of
one's
people who
favorite
would
is
say
one.
a lot of people would say MGS5 is the worst by a mile. So it's all preference.
I really don't think that anybody would call MGS5 the worst by a mile.
Well,
I think most people would say
people
2.
Are salty about it. Yeah,
I really
2
think
is.
2's the black sheep.
Yeah,
Raiden is
I like
such a
2 so
bitch.
much.
I love
I've
2.
grown to like 2.
2's so good.
Okay, actually,
is very good.
I don't even know if the Metal Gear conversation is even that pertinent because in a lot of ways, like at the most, it's going to swap
not.
with. Right? In the most, it's going to swap with Rock Band, but I don't see it going anywhere lower than that. In fact, I don't know if I have any objection with anything from Burnout up. Not yet, at least. We might need to fine tune the top part. But like as far as like these being our top 13, I so far feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think our number 1 should just stay where it is and never move.
All right, so I have a very dark confession to make.
All right, let's hear it.
So, I have never played Red Dead Redemption for 1 minute.
I know.
For 1 minute?
I've never touched that game.
That's so tough.
The fact that it's number 1 makes me real uncomfortable, and I'm willing to concede if all 3 of you guys are like in that same boat. I don't know if we're ready for this conversation yet, but just know that I have not played that game, so I am totally in your guys' like womb. Like I'm at your will with that game.
In utero, Kane.
Yeah.
I think let's save that conversation. That's super interesting though.
That's gonna be spicy.
Let's finish this bottom
Yes,
part.
We gotta get out of the top to middle, and we gotta go straight down to the bottom.
Cause that's definitely a finale.
Sorry.
That's oh no you're because that's fascinating because the top 3 I'm so torn between. I'm gonna kind of go with the crowd in so many ways because I just feel so good about any of them. So Call of Duty, Skyrim, and Dead Space. Those 3 are interesting. Wii Sports as well. They're entirely different in every shape and size. What order should those be in? Because I feel like maybe with the exception of Fallout 3, though I don't think we're gonna get a lot of those people on this cast. I think, and maybe Batman. I think that Left 4 Dead, Grand Theft Auto 4, Walking Dead, XCOM, and Demon's Souls are clearly below those games. Those definitely feel like a tier lower in a sense.
All right, here we go. Elder Scrolls, Dead Space, Wii Sports, Call of Duty.
Wow,
I like it.
Beating up
actually.
Call of Duty.
I like Elder Scrolls above Dead Space at least.
This
Was
is
that
another
bottom?
one
Was
of
that
those.
low to high, or was that high to low?
That's high to low. Jesus Christ, who do you what do you think I am?
Speak of peace, Kane.
I just want to make sure that you're putting Skyrim above Dead Space, because that really hurts me. That hurts my soul.
Well, Kane, tit for tat.
Dude, I love Metal Gear Solid 4. I fucking love that game.
Claws are coming out.
Oh my goodness. I would
King's
agree
got
with
claws.
that. That's I feel like my argument for Skyrim and any Elder Scrolls game is always going to be, well, actually not any Elder Scrolls game, for Skyrim is always going to be kind of biased just because I'm a big fucking Elder Scrolls junkie. So I'd put Elder Scrolls, Dead Space, and then I would do Call of this order actually how it is right now is how I would leave it, because I do think Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 they were just solid games. There's a reason they remastered them and everyone bought the special like super duper chocolate edition of Infinite Warfare just to play Modern Warfare.
I think it's interesting because the Skyrim specifically is probably my favorite Elder Scrolls game. When Morrowind came out, I know I respected it, but the most I ever did was jump on there and either use cheats or just screw around, jumping around a bunch, thinking how cool it'd be to someday be able to jump over buildings.
Around the edges.
I mean, I understood it, but from a distance. Oblivion came out, and that was the point where I was kind of like, okay, so this maybe is more like a Halo back in the day. Fun fact for people, I've never liked Halo. I was thinking that Elder Scrolls was going to be in that bucket. This Skyrim came out, and it got me. It finally sunk its teeth into me. I feel like they realized it's their world. I feel like it is probably the truest execution of what Bethesda has ever set out to do. I think they had ideas with Fallout 3. They did a good job, didn't nail everything. Same thing, especially with Fallout 4. That one fell a little short, but I think Skyrim is their kind of opus in some ways. And it's a game that for the longest time after it came out, would come back to every like 3-6 months. Even if I just wanted to screw around and run around the woods and hunt deer, kind of before a lot of survival games were out, Skyrim was kind of that possibility just because of its open world feel. So it's Bethesda doesn't hold as much sway in this podcast as it probably does in any other video game podcast online, but I think Skyrim above Dead Space, Dead Space is also a game I consider one of my darlings. If I made like a top 10 of the generation, like a personal list, Dead Space would probably be on there. But for this list, especially it represents influence and greatest and kind of Supertrope as a whole, I do kind of like Skyrim above Dead Space. With that said, I kind of agree with Cody. I really like this. I think Call of Duty above Wii Sports. I really like that message. Wii Sports very important, but it's the Wii that's important. Call of Duty 4 kind of changed the landscape of online gaming, and those changes are kind of being felt more today in 2016 than the Wii influence is.
Yeah.
The only thing is I could see I probably professionally would put Call of Duty 4 above Dead Space, but I personally like Dead Space more, and if I feel like that could be almost like a protest vote, a symbolism of Supertrope. Dead Space above Call of Duty 4. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Let's rally behind that flag.
Yeah, that's fine. Skyrim, where it is, by no means do I think that Skyrim is like this horrible game. It's just not a game for me. It's a game with very strong strongs and some pretty weak weaks. And for me, the weaks are what I usually look for in a game, and the strongs are generally not what I like. So it's not for me. I understand that.
Yeah, no, and actually something with a lot of these games that I just wanted to say really quickly. I've been thinking about this a lot. Is a lot of these games that, like, say, Kane with a Skyrim, or me with a Mario Galaxy, or even a Last of Us. Those kind of games. It's never, especially with the conversations we've had on this podcast, it's not anything against them at all. In a lot of ways, it's something against their hype. Because I would actually say, just like we follow gaming news like crazy. We stay up on every single thing that comes out. We glue into E3 like it's the peak of our year. So with that said, when you're surrounded by this games media and they are just going on and on and on about, say, a Last of Us, a Mario Galaxy, maybe a game that hit you like a 9 out of 10.
Why would you kindly change the gaming landscape?
See? That stuff can kind of grind you down, and sometimes it's hard to step away from it and kind of appreciate the game on its own. But still, it's so, like, when we naysay these games, it's not that we don't love them in a lot of ways. It's that we maybe don't love them as much. Like, I feel that way about Portal 2. There for a long time, people were saying Portal 2 was the greatest video game to ever come out. And I was just, like, I liked Portal 2 a lot, but it is not even close to that statement in my book. I kind of felt that way about The Last of Us as well. Its gameplay didn't grab me, and people were treating it like it was, the next coming of video games. So I just want to say that real quick. When we get naysayer against these games, I mean, they're in our top 25. We're putting it on record here. We like all these games. It's just we do have to kind of tit for tat them. I think our bottom is pretty locked in unless we have issues with Fallout 3, Batman, or Left 4 Dead.
I don't know. I would probably put Batman above Fallout, but I'm weird that way.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool.
Yeah, Fallout.
Thinking about that.
Weird. I didn't play Batman, but I've watched Michael play so much Batman. And I can comfortably say that I feel like Batman is a more solid, well-designed game than Fallout, and
Fallout just had exactly. That's the thing for me. Fallout just had so many like glaring flaws that there was a lot of problems with both of those games.
Well,
as popular as they were.
I want to say with the Fallout is essentially like that was kind of, it felt more of like an expansion pack. I mean, it is its own standalone game, but it felt like they took, the Fallout 3 backbone and just added a bunch of features onto it. With Batman Arkham Asylum, that's kind of Rocksteady's breakout into the Batman franchise, and like there were no slouches when it came to the gameplays, combat, and also like taking the extreme amount of time and detail in laying out all of the villains' backstories and having all that available as kind of like a codex built into the game. I really think just overall in terms of quality, Batman Arkham Asylum definitely had a lot more polish on it than the Fallout New Vegas. So I would totally be cool with that swapping.
yeah.
Batman just like succeeded in all like with everything against it, like comic book, video game.
They made Batman
never
cool
any good
again.
Batman games, and just like Mark Hamill's the Joker, and just like they got like the animated series actors, and the game, like the level design was great, the combat was great. It just defied all odds. I really like that game.
Yeah, like when I talk to people, if I went up to someone, anyone that I know that's played both those games, or maybe even just one of those games, I was like, "What can you tell me that's bad about Batman?" They would have a few things and be like, "Oh, mostly everyone I hear is like griping about the last boss, because it's just a big cop out, all kind of."
The ending in Batman Arkham Asylum is dog shit. It's the worst ending ever.
Yeah.
Oh,
But then
No Man's Sky.
Okay, maybe not that bad.
But then
dude, have you guys heard
talked-
about the 1.1
Yeah, we didn't talk
patch?
about that in news. We'll talk about
Okay.
that here.
We'll talk about when we maybe play it.
But then the reason
I'm
why
gonna
I'd
play
hold
it this
Batman
week.
higher
Making
than
a point.
The reason I'd hold Batman higher than Fallout is because then if I ask people like, oh hey, what's what bad about Fallout? There's a laundry list. there's a big list of stuff that is not great about Fallout.
Well, even playing off of even playing off what Josh said, I really liked, because it's not even so much about Fallout New Vegas compared to say Fallout 3. Obviously, that's almost an unfair comparison when we're talking about Fallout versus Batman. But it is in some ways Fallout New Vegas and 3. You could almost say are kind of mods onto Oblivion, where Batman Arkham Asylum, specifically Arkham Asylum, which I'm glad that that's the one we picked. It's pretty damn unique, especially its feel. At most, you can say it took and improved the combat of Assassin's Creed, but especially its way of just playing the game, very different. That third-person kind of action, you could almost say pseudo wall climbing, but obviously he just uses grapple hook. It's just very different. When Arkham City came out and the games that followed, those you can kind of throw in the open world Assassin's Creed bucket. But Arkham Asylum was very unique, and I still think it is extremely unique. And I think on uniqueness alone, it should be bumped up.
Yeah, and that game like hooks you instantly with its characters. Like every version of Batman has their own Joker and their own Batman and like their own. It totally lays out like its own mythos right there. Like Joker's monologue at the beginning of that game, like being wheeled into the asylum, is so good.
Well, it's so funny, too, because I've already said I'm not a big comic guy on here, but I think for a lot of us gamers who aren't big comic guys, I think it's now kind of like our origins in some ways. I watched the terrible Suicide Squad recently, and Killer Croc's in that. And who do I compare Killer Croc to? Not the first comic issue he was ever in. I'm comparing him to the Batman Arkham Asylum Killer Croc, because that's kind of my reference. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's Batman Arkham definitely deserves to be up a bit, especially I think we're giving Bethesda its kudos on Skyrim. I think Fallout's gonna suffer a little bit, much like Grand Theft Auto 4 and Demon's Souls. So I think everything except for maybe the top 10, top 5 feels pretty good. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anything jumping out?
Oh, well, not really.
I've got my torch and pitchfork out for Fallout, but does Fallout seem better than Left 4 Dead and Grand Theft Auto 4?
I want Fallout to probably be above Grand Theft Auto 4. I don't know. I would be okay if you guys want Left 4 Dead above it.
Huh.
I'm just thinking back to.
I would have done the other thing. I would have said Fallout 4 over I said Grand Theft Auto 4 over Fallout and then leave Left 4 Dead below, but I don't even know.
I mean, I suppose with Left 4 Dead, I suppose like my experience as well as like Cody's and Cameron's has been probably much stronger experience to the Left 4 Dead series as a whole than most people's, but that has just really, really solid multiplayer, especially when you can have 8 unique people, 4 survivors versus 4 special infected. It's like that was definitely some of the best multiplayer gaming I've done, and probably ever. So I don't know, that to me carries a lot of weight, but that's also my own experience with the game. Honestly, between the two, like it would be fine if in either positions if Left 4 Dead was higher, if Grand Theft Auto was higher, or not Grand Theft but Fallout. So
see, and that's why I was saying Left 4 Dead could go above Fallout, is because again this is our list, and I think I totally agree with everything Josh said about Left 4 Dead, and so it's easy to kind of naysay it in the grand scope of grandness, just because of what it is, kind of, a modded, very kind of in some ways shallow multiplayer game. It is what you make it, and we made it awesome, and it's a quality game, but it's just not as deep as a lot of these other puddles on this list. With that all said, though, Fallout 3 might be on my personal top 3 RPGs of the generation. I put a lot of time into Fallout 3. I think I'm probably the fondest of Fallout 3, probably on the podcast, especially if it's Fallout 3 and not Fallout New Vegas. But with that said, I'd put Left 4 Dead above it. I wouldn't put Grand Theft Auto 4 above it. Grand Theft Auto 4 had some serious impact, but maybe it's lost a little bit of that impact just thanks to Grand Theft Auto 5, which almost shouldn't reflect upon it or what it is. But to me, Fallout 3, I'm going to remember much more 5 years from now than I'm going to remember Grand Theft Auto 4, other than just Nico jokes.
Yeah.
I kind of put Left 4 Dead in that same Dead Space vote, where I'm fine having it above other things that I might technically feel are better examples of a video game in some ways. But kind of make like a protest vote or a statement, I'm totally fine putting it above Fallout. But I probably do want Fallout 3 above Grand Theft Auto 4 personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Kane, what say you?
I'm kind of indifferent. All three of those games, I don't really have strong feelings about. I'm still mad at Fallout 3 for burning me the way it did. Left 4 Dead 2, like I said, I haven't really played much, and Grand Theft Auto 4, I don't like. I remember it definitely had impact, but that was like the only Grand Theft Auto game I didn't really play that much for whatever reason. So
I enjoyed it a lot too, but it didn't grab me the way that even like Vice City. It's actually kind of it's almost the San Andreas to me, where the world loved Grand Theft Auto 4 and the world loved San Andreas. I kind of was doing other things.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was part of that world.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 4 snuck up on me. It wasn't so much when it came out, but it was a couple of years afterwards where it really finally kind of sunk its teeth in me, and I played through all the expansions and everything, and so I mean I have some pretty fond memories of Grand Theft Auto 4, but yeah, I really honestly feel like Left 4 Dead should be above Fallout, and Fallout should be above Grand Theft Auto 4. That's my say.
Ultimately, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, cool. And then yeah, Walking Dead to Grand Theft Auto 4, we're good with that. XCOM as well. Everything feel like I think the bottom of it's pretty locked in. I think we just need to talk about the upper part. I'd say Portal 2 up. What jumps out immediately? We'll save. Well, okay. Maybe we shouldn't save. Maybe we just need to talk about Red Dead, Dark Souls, Minecraft, and Last of Us, and Galaxy technically.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
In so many ways, is it to be really cool and edgy, or is it just the right choice? I almost feel like if we want to pick a game that truly represents gaming as a whole, as the generation as a whole, in so many ways, I feel like it's either Red Dead Redemption, which also could be swapped with The Last of Us, because they both represent the same thing to me, although I think Red Dead Redemption had better executed gameplay, or Dark Souls. The one thing is Dark Souls doesn't represent what I think is incredibly key to this generation, and that is story, especially maybe narrative. Now it has lore, it has flavor, it has world building and gobs, and that's kind of where you take a lot of your story from, and that is its own reason to be celebrated. And I feel like this is the generation where video games finally broke through to be on the same level of storytelling and narratives as other mediums. And I really like that to be represented with, I think the first time Josh and I ever made this list, that's why we went with BioShock, is because it felt like the first kind of broke the glass roof as far as storytelling goes. Now, I think Red Dead Redemption represents that as well, and probably represents gameplay better as well. Also, Red Dead Redemption is Rockstar, who Rockstar easily, alongside Naughty Dog, are developers who represent this generation. It just keeps coming down to representing the generation to me. Minecraft, I think, is by far, in a way, the most influential, but I'm not sure how I feel about it being number one for our list. If we were doing a different type of list, maybe just purely on influence, maybe just on most impactful, it's number one to me by leaps and bounds. But for our list and what we prioritize as gamers, I feel like it's between Dark Souls and Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. My piece on Red Dead Redemption will be very short. Red Dead Redemption, in my eyes, represents almost like a holy trinity of gaming. Because Red Dead Redemption, for me, has amazing story, it has amazing gameplay, and it has amazing multiplayer. It's not only a game that has a great, you play through the game, amazing story, you love going through it, it catches you, it's entertaining and it's interesting, and you want to know what's going to happen next. The gameplay is fun all the way through. The game doesn't really feel repetitive as you go through, because every time that you might even think that you're like, okay, I don't know if I want to, just more crazy shit happens and you get new stuff unlocked, and then you go to Mexico, and then the game just gets even better. You didn't think the game could get better, and it gets better. But then beyond that, you're playing this amazing game with story and gameplay, and then one of your friends has it, and they message you, and they say, hey, you want to play online? And you just, excuse me? You can play this with other people? And you do that, and it's, I don't know, I'd
make the argument that the multiplayer is solid, but not amazing. It's
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, it's good, but
It's no
not
GTA 5 multiplayer.
Yeah, it's nothing that's like should be written down on the timeline of multiplayer throughout gaming
Yeah.
history or
Even
anything.
Minecraft.
I don't think
It's
its
serviceable.
multiplayer is as good as GTA 5.
I
but
put
I
it
think
more
it's
in like the
better than
Uncharted
Dark
multiplayer,
Souls.
which is good.
Well, but the reason why I put Red Dead's multiplayer so high is because it has the sandbox of GTA 5 and the party system and the missions. And the missions were, some of them were good, some of them were not fun, but for the most part, you could still have fun playing them. And then even outside of the missions, they had the strongholds, so you'd go and you would go around the map to the big parts in the story where there's these big strongholds, and you'd raid them with your friends, and it was a lot of fun. Plus, it had the challenge progression where you would go around the map to different places and try to complete little challenges to level up your character, unlock more stuff. I just felt like as a whole it was very well rounded.
Yeah,
But
I
it's not as
almost
good as Grand Theft Auto 5.
I guess I would almost compare a lot of the multiplayer stuff to like our experience with Left 4 Dead, where kind of in a bubble, our multiplayer experience with Red Dead Redemption was pretty fantastic. Like rolling around with our posse, we've got fucking Pablo and his donkey, and just like, I mean, it was a time just like we had a really, really great time with the multiplayer, but overall, I would probably say that it was not. It probably wasn't as wonderful as other multiplayer experiences. But
My argument against Red Dead, in a sense, if I'm playing devil's advocate here, is that it is truly exceptional. It is great quality. It is great content. But is it kind of more of the same of what we've been getting from video games for so long? Like, is it just like kind of a perfected version of even Grand Theft Auto Vice City or things of that nature, things that we have been kind of experiencing in lesser form since the PS2 era? Or does it transcend that? Like, is it truly, like, I think you can't deny that at the very least Dark Souls and Minecraft are record history book games. They are games that should be remembered for all time, no matter who you are, no matter how much you enjoyed them. I love the hell out of Red Dead Redemption, but I'm not 100% if I'd make that statement about it. I'm not even sure if it's probably my favorite Rockstar game, but I'm not sure if it's even definitively their best. So
Yeah.
that's my only issue.
I think you bring up a very good point. I don't think that there's anything wrong with perfection of something that's already created. I mean, look at Mario 3. Like, an old game like Mario 3, like, perfection can definitely stand out. The thing that, okay, so as someone who has never played this game, the only reason I'm a little bit uncomfortable about it being at number 1, and not even because I like Dark Souls, just like objectively at number 1, is that Grand Theft Auto 5 is so far below it. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is incredible. It's probably, from my experience, the most amazing open world game I've ever played. The story was like funny and interesting. They made characters who I absolutely hate, made me want to find out like what they were and who they were. And in my head, Red Dead Redemption is Grand Theft Auto 4 with a Western coat. That's what it is in my head.
And that's and I was gonna say, do we? And that's kind of what that's exactly what I'm kind of getting at. Is like, is it the romanticism of it being a Western game that is really like keeping it so high above and these other games in a sense? Because Kane's kind of totally right about the GTA 5 comparison. I personally have put way more time and probably overall enjoyed GTA 5 more than Red Dead Redemption. I think Red Dead Redemption probably had a better story, but like back then we loved John Marston and we still do, but I don't know if I exactly love him as a character heads and tails above, say, like Trevor or some of the more interesting characters of GTA 5. Like, is it just are we being too romantic about the Western sense than just the game itself as a game?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And what really got me was the second that you said, like you mentioned, the is it influential? It's not as influential as Minecraft or Dark Souls at all.
And I think also, I'm going to be devil's advocate mostly during this conversation. I think you can make a lot of those same romanticism statements about Dark Souls in some ways. I almost don't even need to state what it's kind of done for gaming, but in some ways, like, how easy is it to be like, oh yeah, Dark Souls, best game of the generation. You know, made games hard again. I mean, it's more to it than that. Way more to it than that. But also, I think like I feel like I almost want to turn over to Josh because I'm curious on his opinion about Dark Souls being number one.
First, I'll start off saying that between Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption, it's not crazy for me to say that Red Dead overall in terms of story and character are better than Grand Theft Auto 5. In fact, for the most part, I kind of feel like Grand Theft Auto 5 is kind of more of like the expected kind of game that Rockstar would churn out, you know, every so often. And Red Dead Redemption was kind of the first time in a long time where we saw something really, truly like new. Well, not so much new. They bought the property from somebody else, but it was a very, very different change of pace for them. And at first everyone's like, dude, what the fuck? How can they do a Western? And I think they really, really pulled it off. And I would find the characters of Red Dead Redemption more memorable, in my opinion, than I would. I mean, like, obviously, like, Trevor is an incredible character, and there's a bunch of other characters from, you know, Grand Theft Auto 5, but I couldn't name every single one of them like I could with Red Dead. But, anyways, to go back to the question that was posed, that was something I was kind of thinking about as what people were kind of explaining all the cool stuff with Red Dead. Dark Souls, when the first time I played a Dark Souls, or like the first Dark Souls game, it was one of the first times I was like exploring that world and finding different things and like finding different shortcuts and kind of experiencing it in a way where the game does not hold your hand whatsoever. I had never really had that experience with a game until that game was released, and it was like diving into the unknown. That game came out, and I mean, I didn't play it straight away, but Cameron picked a copy up, and he was like, dude, you need to check this game out. So I grabbed a copy, and it's one of those games where as you're playing through it, you know, like, you know, us working in a game store, maybe this is different from other people's experience, but, you know, I'll be in the game store and somebody will come in and say, man, dude, I've been playing Dark Souls and it's such a great game. And it immediately becomes kind of like that tavern experience, like where I'm the bartender behind the counter, like, oh, well, have you checked out this route yet? And like, oh, no, I haven't heard anything about that. Where do you go, you know, access this place? And it's just like swapping stories between each other and like, you know, giving each other tips and hints on, you know, different types of enemies or where to go to find these things. And it was just such a awesome and unique experience overall. So I think it's for me is very hard to call because both games give me such strong memories of the last generation, and it is, for me, it is going to be difficult to pick between two.
So I was almost expecting a little more resistance from Josh for some reason.
Yeah,
I know he appreciates Dark Souls, but that was a pretty good stat. You could have almost won Dark Souls over for me in a sense between the two with your statement there. I actually think I was going to try to come up with some special idea awards, but with Black Friday we just didn't have the time. But one of the ones I was thinking about, and the first thing I thought of, is like a moment of the generation. And there's obviously a lot of things, would you kindlys and all sorts of stuff like that. But I really think that the skeletons in the graveyard are the generation. That spot. We even had at Extra Life, I think a friend that Kane brought down, he even said that he was kept dying to these skeletons in the graveyard. And as soon as I heard that, it's just, there's something about that moment, and that we all kind of had that moment independently. And just, it exactly is that word of mouth, like NES days. It's hard to argue against Dark Souls because it really is kind of a special thing. I think actually it's almost, you can compare it more to a Minecraft than you can a Red Dead Redemption in some ways. I can't decide if I need to put on my Minecraft hat a little harder here. I think I could make some really strong statements about it being potentially number one. But it's such a different game, and I don't know if it represents Supertrope as a whole in some ways, despite that we all love Minecraft. I just feel like, especially since this is the console generation, and kids, that might be the top selling game on the consoles is Minecraft. But for us and the consoles, it's kind of Dark Souls was almost
Yeah.
more to me than say Minecraft.
Plus, also, Minecraft on the consoles was not as good as it was on computer.
Well, and see, it's tough too because we like if it's kind of like Lord of the Rings for me. If I took the amount of time I've watched the theatrical cuts, it was the amount of time I spent in the theater. That is what Minecraft Vanilla or Minecraft Unmodded would be. And then the amount of times I've watched the extended editions are, probably a year's worth of time at this point. And that is modded Minecraft to me. So it's hard because like Minecraft by itself without mods, without a server full of just your friends. I'm not talking about split screen on the Xbox 360. I'm talking about your own private server where you're making a village. And the only thing you have to worry about is creepers and stuff. It's special, but that's kind of a PC experience in some ways. I think it's still, I feel like maybe it's a conversation about not Dark Souls or Red Dead versus Minecraft. Maybe it's a conversation of Minecraft versus Last of Us and Mario Galaxy about where it falls on this list. I do like it at number 3, almost as the dividing line between games that I think it's kind of funny. I almost wish that Cody had such a super hardcore horse in the race right around here, because I feel like Last of Us is Josh, Galaxy's Kane, and Bioshock's me, and I just love them all next to each other. Well, so we move Red Dead down. Cody's horse is in the lead. No, and the I almost don't. It's so funny. Kane saying that he hasn't played Red Dead makes me almost not want to spoil things, but he's probably already heard.
No. Let me interrupt you. I actually do know how this game ends, and that's as soon as I heard how this game ends, I knew I had to play it. Like that excited me so much. That
and that's
ending
worth
just
talking
sounds
about.
incredible.
It's
Yeah.
so cool. I mean, the game's 6 years old. I think
for antagonists that die.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it's been 6 years. I think we can say it that you're playing as this badass John Marston. We mentioned him already, and about maybe 2/3 the way through the game, maybe even half.
No, that's pretty much.
He dies.
No, that's the ending of the game, because then you become his son and you go out for revenge, and then credits roll.
Oh, okay, so we're at the very end of the game, but it's
like
definitely one of those. It was a bold move, especially when we've seen games. We just got done talking about Metal Gear Solid 2. Maybe if Hideo had waited till the very end part to turn you over to Raiden, people get really attached to their main character. So I just love the boldness of offing him that way. They stayed true to their Western vibes. It's so tough. I personally, we might have to bring it down to voting. I would go Dark Souls, Red Dead, Minecraft, and
I'm
then
in that same boat right now.
And then
Like,
the
after
only
hearing
other
the
thing
Dark
I'd
Souls
want to adjust would maybe be talk about Mass Effect 2 and Uncharted 2, and I don't even know why. We haven't even talked about Mass Effect in this whole conversation. It's kind of just stuck where it is. But that would be my vote, is Dark Souls actually being our number 1. I feel like it really does kind of represent us as a whole, especially, but the generation as a whole. And then Minecraft right behind it, and Last of Us and Galaxy. I think those are all kind of different, where they are exceptional games, but they aren't the full package deal like Red Dead and Dark Souls are at number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, I'm fine with
I
Dark
agree.
Souls, Red Dead, Minecraft.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I almost think that this Mario Galaxy and Bioshock thing that we've done this whole podcast has kind of helped me. Because I was kind of trying to, like I said, when we were nominating these games, when Kane did Dark Souls, I moaned and groaned because I said that he kind of took mine. That's because he kind of did. I was actually in the shower thinking like, okay, Galaxy, I don't want it to win. Bioshock probably shouldn't win. I don't want Last of Us to win. Like, what should win? And Dark Souls feels like the one, and Red Dead Redemption. Those two games, like, I feel like I can be a devil's advocate against all those other ones. Maybe it's because they were just so extremely hyped, where Red Dead and Dark Souls somehow still felt like underdogs, despite that they were huge successes. I don't know what it is, but it feels good, at least for now. I think I'd love to come back to this list 5 years and just watch us to be like, oh man, friggin' Dark Souls. Turns out that game was just a copy of something 2 years that didn't sell well or something. I don't know. No, but its influence and actually what it did to the psyche of gamers is also worth stating. And that's actually something that Red Dead didn't really do. I think Dark Souls actually changed not just the industry, but kind of gamers. The success of roguelikes and stuff are kind of thanks to things like Dark Souls. Kind of changed us in a lot of ways, especially after we just got done with a decade of kind of casual gaming, which was equally important. I actually want to talk about that when we go over the timeline a little later. What about Mass Effect 2? Above Uncharted 2, I think that's the main thing I want to bring up. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I actually think that Mass Effect 2 is probably the best Western RPG on the list.
I think Mass Effect 2 is pretty good where it is. That's my stance.
Personally, I
lied to
think
you
so
guys.
too.
Sorry to interrupt you, Josh.
That's okay, Cam. Why'd you lie to
I,
us?
I lied to you guys. I lied to you because this is the other game I've never played.
Yeah, I kind of figured that actually. I just don't see you playing Mass Effect, Kane. I don't know
Mass
why.
Effect 2. But all of my friends, mainly you assholes, I've seen you all play this game and love the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And I recognize that it's a very cool game and interesting. I always felt like I couldn't play it because I didn't play number 1. And number 1 was kind of a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would put Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1 might not even squeak on to the top 100 in my book. That might be upsetting to some. Cough, cough, Russ. But Mass Effect 1 was not a very polished game. It's right there with Assassin's Creed 1. And I'd even make the argument that Mass Effect 3 had some serious flaws, be it different type of flaws, almost like the industry and the morality of EA, who had been publishing it by that point after they had bought BioWare. If it wasn't for Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 2 kind of saves that franchise to me. 3's good, but 2, the characters are especially
2 is the best one.
2 is so good, and it's kind of the perfect marriage of gameplay, because they kind of became a little too much shootery in 3, and Mass Effect 1, it was actually almost maybe too much of an RPG. Either that or their shooting wasn't good enough that it didn't carry it.
Mass Effect 1 was frustrating because it was like kind of RPG like for being a game where you shoot things a lot. And
It was trying to be KOTOR.
But then at the
Yeah.
same time, it had a fucking garbage inventory system. Mass Effect 1's
Yeah.
inventory system is fucking awful. And Mass Effect 2, like, already, like, when Mass Effect 2 came out and I opened the inventory, that alone, I was like, I'm so happy with this game now. It's just... But no, it's a really good game. Also, one of the first series to have the entire game voice acted.
So especially, just because Kane hasn't played it, especially to Josh and Cody, just because I know your guys' love of Uncharted 2 and Portal 2, how does Mass Effect 2 stack up to those? Should it stay where it is, above them?
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
All right, cool. I think that's good. I was gonna say I just wasn't sure if there was like a Uncharted 2 should squeak a little higher or something like that. Beyond that, I kind of like the list.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
I'm not really sure if there's anything that I'd change. Anybody seen anything that jumps out?
Why is Donkey Kong Country Returns not in the top 25?
God damn it.
So Donkey Kong Country Returns. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game. That was supposed to be a joke.
I had to scroll down to see where it ended up.
That's why I laughed.
39, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
But
anybody?
I'm pretty happy with the way this works out. Dark Souls at number 1 is interesting to me.
Deal. Like,
I think Dark Souls is amazing. Dark Souls pretty much represents everything I love about games. Seriously. Like, the way that it presents its story has always been one of the things that I cherish. Like, even in, like, when we talk about Diablo so much, I remember, like, bringing the Diablo 2 manual to, like, school and, like, reading all the weird backstory. Like, you have to dig for all the cool stuff. It's like, oh, did you know that this happens and these guys are connected? Like, I love that kind of stuff. Obviously I love The Last of Us 2, but just there's something a little bit more rewarding for me about having to search for a story and making the connection of, like, two things that you had no idea were connected. The gameplay is so tight. The online is so unique. It's just... There's so much to love about that game.
Yeah, there are so many different aspects, and the online is a whole different aspect too from just the game. That's a super unique and interesting way of doing online, especially in a single player game. I remember like 5 or 10 years ago, I'd always make the argument that at the very least, there is no game out there that someone who wasn't clever enough could make a good co-op or something like that version of. And people would always be like, "Oh, there's all these games; they have to be single player." It's like, you're thinking like in the box too much. Like, conventionally, sure, they should be single player, but if you add things like what Dark Souls did, then now we're talking. There's always a way to involve other people. I think even in like survival horror games, you can do it. And it's Dark Souls kind of did that. It broke so much ground on so many different levels. Is the thing. It's not just a hard game. I feel like it speaks to you, especially a little more than a lot of us, just because you're the Castlevania nut, and it is pretty much modern Castlevania.
Yeah, it is.
But it's still, I think, I love its mythos and its world to the point where, like, I consider it an influence. I love The Witcher 3 so much that its kind of Scandinavian influence has really kind of embedded itself in me and like fantasy world building and stuff. Dark Souls is right there too. It's dark gothic, and the way that it does it, almost like an Alice in Wonderland slight vibe, is like exactly what I want, like the Underdark to be. Like it is,
Yeah.
they nailed that, just that creepy feeling.
Dude,
And-
Dark Souls is easily like an influence in Cayman's world building in his campaign for D&D. Like, fuck, everything's creepy as shit in his campaign.
And I think,
Anyway.
and I think, like we've said, like to me, Minecraft has shaped the minds of the game industry, and we're gonna see that probably in about 5 years. I think Dark Souls has kind of done some kind of quieter, under the radar influences. The more obvious ones being the mechanics and gamers finding a reward through difficulty, but also in some ways fantasy. Because if you look at this list, there's not a lot of fantasy in the top part, like at all. It's kind of, I didn't really realize that until now. It's kind of sad. And also, it's the best RPG of the generation, and I love to honor that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody.
Yeah, I'm Cody.
So, flashback like 3 months ago, when you were beating your head against the rooftops, trying to get past those fucking archers, did you ever think that you would be voting Dark Souls into your top 100 of last generation?
Dude, if somebody was like as I'm so frustrated with those archers, if somebody at that point was like, hey, do you think this is the best game of the generation? I would fucking throw my chair at them. Like,
Yeah.
I would have just gone full bananas.
I have an
That's
interesting
why I
question
said it.
for you guys. Has anyone here besides me beaten any Dark Souls game?
Yeah, I beat Dark Souls 3.
Nope. I've started all of
How far did I
them.
get through Dark
Probably put
Souls?
20 hours into each, and I never finished them. And actually, Dark Souls 3 is kind of like really eating at me for not finishing. And it might be like the one game of this year that I've thought about like asking one of you guys to do like a video feature where we co-op through it or something. Like it almost like in this year of, I'm not sure which game is game of the year, a part of me is like going, don't forget about Dark Souls 3. It very well could be your game of the year. You just need to continue with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to beat Dark Souls 1, but I haven't actually. I've put 20 hours into every single one, but I never beat them.
Not that it matters. I just think it's.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting.
I've not
Just
beaten any
Like,
of the Dark
know where I
Souls
stand
games.
against all you guys.
Yeah, I've not beaten any of the Dark
Just
Souls
kidding.
games
Epin.
because I only have access to arguably the hardest one, which is just Dark Souls. And that game is very hard, especially when you play it for the first time years later and the online meta is painful.
How about
least.
when you
Yeah.
install all the mods and you find out that when you're running the game at 60 frames, you jump shorter?
That was the other okay, so that was
Oh,
that
that's
was another
funny.
fucking thing. That somebody was like, "Hey man, did you know?" Because like I played on PC, so obviously this shit didn't happen if you played on console. Fun fucking fact: the game's oh my god, I have so many angry stories from Dark Souls. That like, yeah, if back then if somebody was like, "Hey, this is game of the year," I would beat the fuck out of them. Like, okay, so you install the mod that makes the game run at 60 fucking frames, and because of that, the fucking jump animation for some reason ends sooner, so you
Well,
fall sooner.
It counts the amount of frames before
Oh my
like when you
God.
perform a jump, it counts the frames. And it's like, okay, we've hit 120 frames, you've gone this far. If you're doing it in 30 frames, you're going to do it for a lot
You're gonna
longer,
make the
but when
jump.
you're
If you're
running
doing
twice
60,
the amount of
you're-
frames, you jump half as far.
It is fucking awful. And then so anytime I had to do a jump, I was like, oh, I think I have to jump here. Oh, let me fucking press F12 or some stupid shit to make the game shitty again.
It's
Jump,
amazing.
and then
It was
super quick 'cause
amazing.
I'm getting fucking attacked. Like drop the controller and slap the keyboard again. God fucking damn it. I bet if I'd played this on console, I would be right with you guys.
That's a hallmark of
Like
game
there
of
would have never been a
generation.
question of me being like, yeah, Dark Souls totally game of the year. But since
Game
I
of
played it-
generation.
Oh yeah,
I
game
love
of the
it.
game of the generation. But since I played it
Oh,
on
man.
PC later, oh my fucking god, I forgot all that shit. But it is a really good game. Everything else, apart from those two things, and well, okay, and the third thing being the online meta, and the fourth thing, the third thing being the online meta. Which honestly, if you really don't want to, just don't connect to the internet when you play. You can. Fun fact: there's no shame in hating people online. Don't let anybody tell you different.
And it's just those moments. It's that you're able to step back and still appreciate the game for that, because like nothing against you, but it was a lack of your knowledge or a lack of your execution, and that's the beauty of the game.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't the game, and you know that, and that's just what's so great about the game.
I did
It's-
notice that. Well, I mean, also it was more along the lines of the meta of it being like you start off the game and you're like, I have.
Oh,
five
I'm not talking
strength."
about online. I'm talking about like the
Oh.
frustrating moments with like archers
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
no, the
archers
online's
thing-
way different.
Yeah, the archers thing was like I found out that I could like shoot a poison arrow and hit them like once, and then I didn't have to worry about it, and then they would just die. And that part became super easy after I like.
Are these the
sat
archers
down
in
and-
Anne Orlando
Yeah.
Yeah,
that shoot the gigantic like spears?
yeah, the dragon bows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. I found out like the perfect spot where you could stand and poison shot them, and I was like, okay, cool,
Yep.
easy peasy, and I got past it. But the whole thing up before that, everyone, until finally I think it was like Paisley or someone, everyone was like, oh no, you just run real
Yep,
fast,
you
and
just
try not
run.
to fall off the edge, just run real
Yeah.
fast. And then Paisley was like, stand back with a fucking poisonous bow and shoot them, and they will just die. Like,
Oh, that's funny.
okay.
This is exactly what I love about these type of games is moments that stick out. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at way back in the day, earlier today when we were talking about like Dead Space. There's like maybe one moment in that, maybe two moments in that game that like really stick out. Dark Souls is one of those games that every moment you remember. Like you
Yeah.
remember every corridor of those levels, you remember every boss, you remember how you felt just him talking about archers on the rooftops. There's tons of archers on the rooftops, but I know which one he's talking about because that part is a real fucking shit fest.
So another thing, because you guys know, okay, sorry, this is a little bit of story time for Dark Souls because I had so much fucking shit with this goddamn game that I love so much. You all know my computer is a piece of shit. Right now, I have a box fan running next to an open side of my computer to make sure my CPU doesn't explode while I'm recording. And so before I had this wonderful setup, I was going through the game and I was in that forest where all those other like kind of ghost people are, and you can join that like Cat's Covenant, and then you go and you fight the big giant wolf with the sword.
Good farming spot. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I got to that wolf, and I think Josh was home when this happened. I got to the wolf, and I got the wolf down to like nothing. It was like I had one light attack with like any weapon would have killed him. And then my fucking computer crashed from overheating.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
I was the
Saw that
saltiest
pyro.
person.
All that pyro magic burnt up your CPU, bro.
Just pyromancy. Oh, did you know if you make it so immersive, when you use the pyromancy's flames, then it heats up your computer. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how From Software patched the pyro because it's notoriously overpowered.
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right,
God.
let's lock it in. So I told you
Yeah.
guys earlier
Dark
what I
Souls
want.
Circle jerking.
Wait,
Come
so,
on.
and don't actually read off the number off to the side, or else you're gonna be in a bad place. So
Yes, here I can fix that real
We'll
quick.
see how well my internet connection will do with this simultaneous number.
Yeah, that's gonna be the
reading.
best part.
Oh god, I forgot we're doing this bullshit.
Well,
I'll
at the
give it-
very least, when
I'll
we
give it
say
like
the
a
stupid
brief
shit-
second so that way it doesn't cut into you guys if it
Yeah.
sounds bad with our
Wait, so
internet.
so you're gonna like, so we're gonna.
You guys just say the number like a cheerleader squad, and I'm gonna say the name.
God damn it. Okay, lean back from your mics first of all.
No way. Get in. Get in deep.
All right,
Make it like an
ASMR video.
you guys started off bottom to top.
Okay,
Okay,
so on the count of 3, we'll say 25.
Wait. So 1, 2, 3, 25, or 1, 2, 25?
God damn it.
It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 25.
Do
Except
it.
for I'll do that.
Just do it.
together now.
Less
All right,
less organized,
ready?
better.
1, 2, 3. 25.
25.
Demon Souls.
24.
XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
23.
23.
The Walking Dead.
22.
22. Grand Theft Auto 4.
21.
21.
Fallout New Vegas.
20.
20.
Left 4 Dead 2.
19 teens.
19. 19.
Batman Arkham Asylum.
18.
18.
18.
Wii Sports.
17.
17.
17.
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
This is hard to count backwards.
16.
16.
Dead Space.
15.
Elder Scrolls
15.
5 Skyrim.
14.
14.
14.
Burnout Paradise.
13.
13.
Street Fighter 4.
12.
12.
Rock Band.
11.
Metal
11.
Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots.
10,
10.
10.
Portal 2,
9,
Uncharted 2, Among Thieves.
8,
8.
Mass Effect 2,
7,
7.
Grand Theft Auto 5,
6,
6.
Bioshock,
5,
5.
Super Mario Galaxy 2,
4,
The Last of Us,
3,
3.
Minecraft,
2,
2.
Red Dead Redemption,
1.
and our game of the generation, Dark Souls.
Pause.
We made it.
Holy, holy Moses. Happy New Year.
Right?
Jimmy Johnson's.
I'd like to think that Tommy sat out the last part of it so he can always cross his arms and go, I didn't put it at number 1.
What do you think Tommy would have picked?
You know, he
Dude,
would have
Tommy
probably
would've
gone along
just-
with us.
He would have
You
just
would
been
have
along
been
for the ride.
sidecar the whole time.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
he
I
didn't
think so.
he didn't play the games as intensely this generation as we did for the most part.
He
fact,
went
I'm curious
to school
which-
this generation.
I'm curious which game of this generation in this top 10 he actually has like played significantly. He goes his own way, that Tommy. Okay, so real quick before we call it a night, guys, I want to briefly do the game of the generation. I have a little quick recap of the year, just bullet points. Just say your initial reaction to the nonsense as you recall it. We'll go through this quick so we can call it a night. 2005, the new systems are revealed. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas becomes AO over the hot coffee mod. Players begin to deal with in-game advertisements for the first time, and video games have a new price point of $59.99, up from $49.99.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 2005, different times.
Mhm. Crazy.
2006, the PSP gives Sony its first year of no annual loss in 11 years. They never had a PS2. They lost every year. That's interesting, huh? The 360
Jesus.
continues to struggle a year and a half after it had come out. Continues to struggle, selling less than the GameCube at the time. The Nintendo is the publisher of all of the top 5
Wow.
selling games. 4 of the 5 of them are Nintendo DS games. And at the E3, at E3, Nintendo reveals the Revolution, which later becomes the Wii. Sony announces the PS3 and tells gamers to get a second job, as the price is $599.99. And we see Snake put a gun in his mouth in the Metal Gear Solid 4 trailer.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Right?
Oh.
Do you remember
2000
that Where's Hideo? Sorry.
Yeah,
You remember
no.
that Where's Hideo trailer?
Oh, yep. He always, God, he does that so much. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep the pace quick, so
No, you're good.
Getting tired. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games marks the first time the two characters are ever in a game together in 2007. Nintendo launches the WiiWare. The Red Ring of Death costs Microsoft over $1.15 billion. Bungie splits from Microsoft. EA buys what's called VG Holding Corporation, also known as the parent company of Pandemic Studios and BioWare, which I still think was huge still to this day that EA bought BioWare. I think that changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Jeff Gertzman's fired over the Kane and Lynch review, which
That's right.
obviously changed. I think that really,
What year?
beyond our love, that was 2007.
Jesus.
I think 2007 is the most significant year of the generation, not only for the great games that came out, but also for stuff like this. I mean, we're big overall Gertzman and Giant Bomb fans, but that, even if you're not, that was kind of a turning point for game journalism, I think. Duke Nukem's teaser trailer shown 11 years after it was announced, and the game will not come out for another 4.
Ugh, good.
2000. Oh, I didn't do a recap on 2008, so I'll just have to try to pick and choose here.
2008 housing crisis.
Right. Microsoft discontinues the Xbox 360 HD DVD player, which sold for $200 2 years ago, before 2008. The Xbox Summer of Arcade kind of changes digital downloads, bringing Braid, Castle Crashers, Bionic Commando Rearmed, and Geometry Wars Retro Evolve 2. So I remember this one. Sony Computer Entertainment pulls Little Big Planet, citing the song that would have passages from the Quran, and therefore their word would be offensive to Muslims.
I remember that.
Yeah, and there was no complaints ever. It was just them being politically correct, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to 2009. Square Enix acquires Eidos. Minecraft first launches to the public, 2009. The failed digital-only PSP Go is announced and pulled within 2 years. The Last Guardian is first shown in a trailer.
Oh my god.
2009, super relevant. EA begins what they call Project $10, starting their online pass program, which obviously
Oh my God.
might very well be the worst thing done of the generation. I want to do that list. Most of it would be EA stuff, though.
Wait,
and-
what was that? Can you say that one again?
EA begins Project $10, which is essentially their online pass program, making it
Right.
pretty much treating gamers like shoplifters, charging them for multiplayer, all sorts of terrible stuff. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's optional level, No Russian, causes quite the stir. 2010. EA games get even more ridiculous with pre-order bonuses, Bad Company 2 and Dragon Age specifically. Many PlayStation 3 stopped working for 24 hours after a weird bug that caused their internal clock to malfunction on March 1st, 2010. Microsoft changes their don't ask, don't tell policy, pretty much allowing people to talk about their sexual orientation on Xbox Live in any way, shape, or form. Before that they would ban people if you put that you were gay or transgender or anything like that in your profile, you'd get banned. They had a don't ask, don't tell policy. Yep.
Weird.
They got rid of that in 2010, thank God. Messy breakup between the creators of Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, and Activision. Obviously, that would go on to create Respawn Entertainment. The original Xbox Live servers are finally shut down, 2010, and the PlayStation Move and Kinect both launch in that fall. 2011. Nintendo 3DS is released in February. Within 5 months, it takes a 1/3 price drop. Nintendo offers apologies and incentives to early adopters through the Ambassador Program, and Iwata and Miyamoto take salary cuts to avoid people from having to take layoffs. The terrible 2011 Tohoku earthquake happens, obviously causing much more destruction beyond the game industry, but it did cause a lot of delay and cancellations, and companies like Sony and Nintendo ended up donating tens of millions of dollars to the cause. The PlayStation Network goes down for 23 days in 2011 due to hackers, costing Sony $171 million.
That was awful.
Yep. And then this one especially, Supreme Court rules in favor of the EMA over Brown/Schwarzenegger, securing the rights of gamers and retailers, protecting video games under the First Amendment. This was essentially them trying to make the ESRB more intense and causing essentially finding people or treating it as illegal if you sold an M-rated game to a minor. Obviously, it's a no-no, but retailers do essentially a pledge to the parents, because making it illegal essentially would violate First Amendment rights, which I love that one. Obviously, that's a little close to home. Mass Effect 3, this is 2012. We're almost here at the end. I think one more year after this. 2012, the Mass Effect 3 ending leaves gamers unsatisfied. Developers abuse the concept of paid DLC by charging for From Ashes or The Leviathan, also DLC for Mass Effect 3. People would say that those DLCs had the best character in the game, or also provided the remedy for the ending they all hated, both of which were charged for money. Most notably, Street Fighter Cross Tekken had hidden characters on the disc that they would charge for months later, despite that the characters were already on the disc. This was also the year of Dorito Gate, when Jeff Keighley was surrounded by Mountain Dew and Doritos, and people went nuts. I actually like Jeff Keighley a lot, but that caused a lot of gamers to question the ethics of journalism and the relationship with advertisers and companies. But yeah, Dorito Gate.
He still gets asked questions
all
about
the time.
Mountain Dews or Doritos. Like, I watch him on Periscope every now and then when he has like little live updates, and people still are like, "Hey man, where's the fucking Doritos? You got any Mountain Dew?"
So I like Keighley quite a bit. I feel bad for him in those regards.
I did.
Yeah.
PlayStation Plus ups the ante, giving gamers several free games each month, causing Xbox Live to respond and improving their service. The Nintendo Wii U comes out, though due to marketing and naming issues, among other things, consumers think that it's just an add-on for the Wii, which would lead to the console's failure. And then 2013, the last year of the generation, as far as we're concerned, Sony and Microsoft revealed the PS4 and Xbox One. Later at E3, Microsoft holds one of the worst press conferences in possibly all-time memory of E3 by alienating the consumers with always connected internet policies or trying to kill the secondhand game market. The Ouya is released thanks to crowdfunding and discontinued within 2 years. Right? I love all these things. Came out and scrapped in 2 years. Many digital gaming services improved their policies. This was the year where they actually started to give refunds if your computer didn't have the hardware to run a game, or things like family share or crossplay. This is actually one of the years where we actually saw us get digital rights and not have, publishers take away digital rights like EA. And speaking of EA continues to be the bad guy, paving the way for broken games on day one. Most notably, SimCity and Battlefield 4 came out that year.
Oh, God. Wow.
So, yep.
I still like SimCity.
Right?
Just want to say that.
What a long, strange trip it's been. Actually, really, just real quick, with this timeline, something that I noticed when I was putting it together, especially when you look at everything chronologically, is how we kind of went from Hot Coffee and EMA versus Schwarzenegger to kind of a world of acceptance in a lot of ways. I think at the start of this generation, we were still a part of that Night Trap, Mortal Kombat. A big portion of American adults still didn't get video games. And then thanks mostly to the Wii and the DS, I feel like we finally got past that. This was the generation where I think games finally became a true part of the mainstream in so many ways, especially for parents no longer fearing video games, which was so important. And then with that said, actually, I thought it was really important that right after, a year and a half after the 360 and the PS3 had come out, the game industry, technically, if it wasn't for a certain somebody, was hurting tremendously. The 360 was selling like crap. The PlayStation obviously had a really bad start. Everyone looks back at the 360 and thought it was gangbusters from the start, but it had a first 2 years of bad. And a lot of people think that could have been a mini game depression, much like in the 80s. But there was one company, and I almost want to say, and this is kind of what I want to finish on, because if we were to, we weren't recording podcast about a year ago when this happened, but if there was a person that I would give developer, you could say, or even just man of the generation, it's Satoru Iwata. Because undeniably, the Wii and its success, whether it's too casual for you or not hardcore enough, it kind of saved video games. And if it didn't, and that might be a bit traumatic, it maybe didn't save video games thanks to things like Steam taking place on the PC, but it transcended them. In this generation, it's so easy to take this for granted now. Video games came up to the forefront of entertainment. And I think if you had to put that in one person's hands, it was Iwata. I think Iwata truly, be it the DS, be it the Wii, his number one policy is that games should be for everyone and games should be fun. I think he is incredibly important to the generation as a whole. Even though we only had maybe 10 Wii games on our top list, I think it's undeniable that his influence, and especially the influence of the Wii, is the number one influence of this generation, above Dark Souls, Red Dead, anything like that. It's the fact that my parents started the game again, grandparents, kids. It's hard to speak about how important Iwata was, but
very well said.
Yeah,
very well said.
I knew it was important, not until lining everything up and seeing how the Wii kind of rescued the game industry. It actually was the only reason games had a solid 12 years of growth up until that year, and they were about to have their first year of non-growth, but the Wii was selling so well thanks to Iwata's vision that games just continued to grow and grow and grow. And a lot of people think the video games are recession-proof. I don't think that would have been the case if not for him. So,
yeah. On that topic, I want to give a short plug to a actual YouTube video that is nothing to do with us, but there's a channel called Did You Know Gaming, and they did a very good video on Satoru Iwata and his legacy. Check it out. It's super good. It legit made me cry.
Yeah, no, and I watched something recently on another good site, Gaming Historian, I want to say. They did a similar video. I was just, I was watching like how the, what was it, the Power Glove and stuff, how they got made and all that, and the Iwata video just came on, and yeah, it grabbed me. And I feel like right after his death, people are very, very appreciative of him, but that appreciation should continue for all time, because he really is one of our great pioneers. He is up there amongst Miyamoto, and I think a lot of times people separate them, but he is up there, if not almost more important in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, not to end on a dour note, but I wanted to give him acknowledgement, because without him, who knows what the generation would have turned out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also digital rights, on a whole different subject. That's the other thing. From the timeline, I noticed that we went from kind of going from an age of fear, because I was watching videos on Senator Lieberman and all those guys freak out about video games. Mind you, that was in the 90s, but that stuff, hot coffee was crazy. I like Jack Thompson and that lawyer and all that bullshit. Hot coffee made me scared to be a gamer.
Jack Thompson. Oh my god.
Right? I almost didn't want to say his name.
I'm glad he's
disbarred.
Disbarred.
Yeah, but still, and he represented kind of a portion of the country, and so not just that. Digital rights. We kind of started off in an age of online passes. Mind you, that was only discontinued a few years ago, but we're physical retailers, so we obviously have had an interesting stance on digital. But I also have I cracked over 600 games on my Steam library after the Black Friday sale. So I mean, I obviously participate in the digital game market. The thing we've always had an issue with is kind of digital rights and the lack thereof, especially EA. Almost every single thing, it was either EA or Warner Brothers, but whenever something terrible was done to a consumer, it was one of those companies. And those are finally kind of starting to go away. We have some things that are easy to complain about, like day one patches and stuff of that nature. But online passes, weird stuff like that, we're getting past it. And I think that is symbolized no more than E3 2000, I want to say it was 13, when Xbox tried to pull all their shit. We stood up. I mean, people are so cynical with the game industry or industries in general. People constantly think that we are under the power of, the shadow government and the man. And the consumers all rallied together. And within like 24 hours, we said, fuck no. And it changed.
Mm-hmm.
That's also another thing to be extremely happy with this generation. I think this generation, maybe not for the game quality and the games themselves, but maybe for the industry and the people in it, I think this could be the greatest generation for video games of all time, just because we made so many big strides and so many ways that I think a lot of people have forgotten about.
Yep. It's because the people like us who grew up, with this being such a huge part of our life, we're in positions of power now.
Yep. We have a stronger voice with the internet.
Exactly.
And we're so passionate, we're going to use the fuck out of it.
Yep.
Look at us now.
Hey.
Yeah.
We're
Sitting in front of my
recording a
computer,
podcast.
Recording a podcast about
right now.
video games.
For all
Look
10
at
of
me,
you.
Mom.
Yeah, but cool. Yeah, I really like that wrap up with all the history. Like, it's crazy. Just in 10 years' time, the growth of the industry as a whole is really incredible. And I think a lot of you're like going from kind of like legal issues to more like I suppose equality and just kind of where we're at now, I think is mainly just due to the fact that a lot of us that entered into this 10-year cycle were kind of kids, and probably now more towards the adult / parents of the generation. So a lot of that stuff is now becoming kind of ancient history. So.
Right, I had forgotten. I remember, like, I probably talked to one of you guys for almost every single statement I just made, be it, hot coffee or something else, but every single one was the kind of a topic at hand, and I had forgotten so many of these. It wasn't until, like, lighting them up back to back to back, Dorito Gate, Jeff Gertzman, stuff like that, I was like, damn, what a crazy. A lot of these were negative controversies, but they were still super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think every console generation as a whole has had a lot of growth, but yeah, this last one we just got through has been especially just more has happened in that last bit there. So yeah, it's great. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of the rest of gaming and this generation as well too. Yeah, there's a lot of ground to be made with a lot of stuff. We'll see how a lot of things pan out, but
I look forward in 10 years to fighting for Super Mario 3D World with all of you.
Oh my god. It's not even the best Mario game of the generation.
You shut your fucking mouth.
Mario Maker is so much better.
Well,
let's not do this.
Thank you for listening through to the end of this podcast. You've made it. We've all made it. We sat down. We ranked more than 100 games. Managed to get them all fashioned into a nice fancy list, which we will provide now in full. I don't really know how we're gonna. Is this gonna be like a YouTube thing? Is this gonna be per request?
Well,
do we
per
have Twitter
request.
yet?
Definitely not
Supertrope Twitter.
Definitely not per request. Yeah, we have a Twitter. We don't really use it yet though.
We should use it for that.
And 142 characters.
Yeah. What?
You post
That's a lot of
link, you
tweets.
dungus. You post a link, you dungus.
But no, I would like to do a YouTube video if I can pull off a YouTube video that has 100 games in it. That sounds like a lot of work, but I still would like that. At the very least, we always put our list in our show notes. It's actually kind of funny because the last couple show notes, it's like, click here to see more, and then like just your whole phone screen just slides down because it's our 20
Yeah.
It's our 25, so this one's gonna be even worse. Like you're gonna have to like swipe like 6 times to get to the bottom of our show notes this time. I think we should lock it in too. No changes, we're good. If there's something that we're not happy with, we'll fix it in 5 years or something like that. I think we should just lock it in.
Yeah,
Man.
This if anything, this is a great list of like, especially for Tommy, but for me as well, of just hey. Go through and play these games. These ones at the top, you should play more than you should play the ones at the bottom.
It really is a great resource for that. Like I'm probably gonna cite it at the store a few times.
Honestly, aside from maybe the Street Fighter, I have played every single one of these games all the way down the list until you hit Bayonetta.
Hey, you played Street Fighter. You played with me, remember?
I like how that's
Well,
Cody's argument.
And then
I mean-
you got real angry and you never played Street Fighter again with me ever.
Well, it's because I also played it at the video game store that I worked at, and I got really fucking pissed there too. And pretty much I
My bad.
discovered something about myself. I'm
My-
fucking terrible at fighting games.
Isley, I think we're bad. Just like he goes to work and you're just like, "Hey, Street Fighter, let's play it." And it's just son of a
Well, it's
bitch.
more
And
like
he comes
MVC3.
home and he's like, "Well, at least I can just beat the shit out of my little younger sibling with this game." And I'm like, "Yay, Street Fighter!" And he's just son of a bitch.
Yeah,
It's all
I played, and it doesn't help too. When Street Fighter 4 first came out, I'm trying to remember his name. I don't want to be racist, but he was the Mexican wrestling guy.
El Fuerte.
Thank you. That's who I played. I eventually moved to Fei Long, but El Forte, when you get beat by him, it's a little different than getting beat by other people. He's just such a troll. He's jumping around and just like acts like a chicken. So I don't feel like that helped.
Dude, no, they're shaped like a fucking yellow beach ball. That guy.
Oh yeah, he wasn't
it's
in the
like
first one.
He wasn't in. He was in what? Was
Rufus, I want to say they added
Yeah,
him
it's
later.
Rufus. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can't keep track of all 5 iterations of Street Fighter, Cody. Come on.
I'm sorry.
All
I
right.
gotta look at the roster.
So with that, I think we're gonna call it good for tonight.
Kill it.
Um,
End it. Put a bullet in it.
Yeah.
when
next
this guy
week
has
I
new
think we're gonna
content, it
go-
might be cool. Check it out. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna play it for sure. I already got
Looks
updated.
interesting. It's a step in the
But-
right direction. I do like how we were just talking about how they needed to do an expansion pack like that, and boom, here it is.
Dude, yeah. It came at exactly the right time. As Gandalf might say, exactly when it meant to.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I'm derailing us. We wanted to do Game of the Year prediction real quick for the awards. Let me just pull up the nominees.
Oh boy.
No, Rufus was vanilla.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm looking at the
Like,
roster
you're
right now.
you're a fucking liar.
Damn. Maybe people I knew just didn't play it very much. I didn't think he was.
No one, yeah, fuck Rufus. Everyone that I know that played Trolley Edition characters was like Hakan, dude.
Oh. Okay, I think we'll just we'll leave all the other fun awards, even though there's some that I'd love to discuss with you, like best game direction or best or developer of the year. I love how they do that. Let's just do Game of the Year and we'll call it good. So this isn't our vote for Game of the Year. This is who we think we're gonna win. We're betting essentially on Game of the Year votes, and I actually think that we could have multiple winners here. I just like to put stakes on things, but we'll just bet. So the nominees are Doom, Inside, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4. What do you guys think is gonna be the Game of the Year by the Game Awards?
So it's Doom, Inside.
Overwatch, Titanfall 2, Uncharted 4.
Hmm.
Fuck.
None of those. Oh boy.
That's weird. But I'm gonna go out and Isley, I want to make a real bet with you. I bet you 2 Arby's cookies on D&D.
Nice.
That it's. Oh god, I'm gonna be so wrong, and I'm gonna have to buy 2 Arby's cookies and give them to you. Overwatch.
Nice. I like it.
Dude, that's what my heart says. My heart says
Yeah.
Overwatch.
That's probably what I would say.
Maybe
You know
that's
what?
just because we really fucking like Overwatch.
I should get good. I should get good odds here because I'm gonna go so far out of left field. I'm gonna go Inside.
Oh,
I'm going
I don't-
inside.
I don't think
Are
that's.
you-
I
are
don't think
you-
that's
are
out of
you
the
up in-
ballpark.
So like,
This is.
Come
I
on,
mean,
it's
this
a
is the
video
mainstream game
game.
awards. Do you think they're gonna nominate a game that half their audience will scratch their head and go, "What the hell is Inside?" I mean, I'd love to. They do games for change and they do a lot of things. I actually think the Game Awards are really well done compared to like Spike and all that crap
Yeah.
that we used to deal with.
I mean,
but-
these are voted on by like legit gaming sites that know
Yep.
what they're talking about, like Giant Bomb
kinda-
and all those guys vote on it.
I kind of also like my runner-up would be Doom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
To be honest,
yeah, I wanted to go Doom, but like Overwatch is kind of a big.
can we do
So
points?
What do you? How so?
No, I guess we. Well, never mind. I mean, like, it would work better. We could do points if we could do like all of the categories. You pick your first,
Yeah,
your pick,
little-
and then your runner-up. But
little prep. We could have some fun on this, but sadly we got strapped
Too
for
little,
time.
too late.
I don't
Yeah.
like that everything happens around Black Friday. Thanks for that, world.
Fuckers. Yep.
So it's me for Inside and you 4 for Overwatch.
You want to
Or
shift to Doom?
you
Josh,
three,
just
sorry.
just to go with it.
I feel like I should shift to Doom.
Fuck you, Cam. I'm taking Doom. Doom
has the
No.
romanticism vote. The
Then
game
who's
industry
gonna
is so
take-
romantic about
Then
it.
who's gonna take Uncharted?
Bastard.
Huh? Come on.
Yeah,
Who's gonna
Uncharted
take-
could also very well take it. I would almost
Uncharted
be
could win.
disappointed.
I feel like Uncharted's almost like somehow gotten forgotten this year with all these other crazy
Yeah,
games.
it has.
It's which is crazy.
It's just more of the same. Like, it's just more Uncharted.
And people
It's
are like,
very
Uncharted
good
is so safe. Such a
It is.
safe bet. Yeah. I want some
Doom,
danger.
Inside, and Overwatch are all just like, who would have thought that's like the game of the year? list?
yeah, right. If you started off the year, no way. Those are all
It's good to
games.
see
Well,
Doom as a-
Overwatch.
as a
I'm
nominee,
not surprised
though.
by Overwatch. Really, it's
True.
Blizzard. But
I'm glad Doom was nominated.
I'm locking in
it
Doom.
could be. I actually think that's what I would pick if I really. But I kind of want Inside to win, so I'm gonna go with it. Cool.
I
So
hope
we
Doom wins.
we have
Doom's
Josh
So-
and Kane for Doom. Is that what we're ending
no.
on?
I think Overwatch will win.
Okay,
but
so Josh on
I'd
Doom.
be happiest if Doom.
Me on Inside, Cody and Josh, or sorry, Cody and Kane on Overwatch,
It looks like it.
and it's gonna be
So-
Titanfall 2,
I swear to fucking God.
which people love Titanfall 2. Honestly, I won't be
mean-
surprised by any of these. I think this almost is gonna be our game of the year discussion in some ways. It's a lot of like 9.5 out of 10 games. I don't know if there's a single 10/10 for me, like we had last year.
I think the reason why Titanfall 2 is on nominee for Best Game of the Year is because Jeff Gertzman fucking walked up
Right.
there and was like, "You motherfuckers better put this on top. Game of the Year, I'm gonna fucking cut throats." And that's why it's
Probably.
there.
I really
Fucking
want to play
Jeff.
Titanfall.
But cool.
Anyway,
We're gonna end the podcast because I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
can't
gonna
bring
go
up any more
away.
topics. I'm done.
I'm
I only had
sorry.
like 5 in my back pocket.
I gotta go
Yeah.
bed.
our
It's-
two,
I mean-
Tell me about it, man. I gotta wake up at 6:30.
our two daywalkers are getting real tired.
Daywalker.
So, all right. Well, thank you for sticking around, listening to our podcast. It's been an adventure on this top 100. I can't wait to do this 2 weeks from now when we have to pick out our game of the years.
Yep, we do it all
And,
again, except for it won't be as structured. We definitely
Yeah.
won't be working with a crazy big list. It'll be a little
And
more,
we'll have
freeform.
Yeah, we'll have something going on next week. Maybe I won't say, so we can keep it open. Dude, Vulpix is just such a basic bitch Pokemon. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's fine. You can. That hurts. That stings a little. But I like the basic bitch Pokemon.